Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hello. How's everybody doing? I am better-ish. It's been not good couple of days. How you feeling? I'm fine. I'm good today. It's just, yeah. So, apologies for being not here. I had, for the people that don't know, I had a one of my teeth had a rud back here, and decided to split in half. Wish I could say it was doing something cool like boxing or something. It's just eating a hamburger, and that proceeded to get infected, and the entire side of my face swelled up like a balloon. And then I had, I had to go to the dentist for an emergency, and they had to pull what was left of that out and drain the infection. You don't want to know what that entailed. That was, but anyway, after the surgery, I felt like I got punched in the face. So it's all the cool battle scars of getting punched in the face without actually getting punched in the face. I'm not exactly sure what I'd prefer. Yeah, I'm down a tooth. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, so, I don't know. Would I rather take a right? How cooked were you after it was pulled? They did not knock me out, and I took Advil, so no, crazy painkillers and no laughing gas. They Novocained it and then pulled it. That was fun. Getting punched in the face is cheaper. Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, so I've been having an interesting... Last week was very interesting, to say the least.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
So, yeah. Look after you... No IV sedation. No. I'm good. They said, nah, we'll just Novocaine it. I'm like, okay, you'll just Novocaine. Oh! Nah, it was good. It was fine. It didn't really hurt that much. I will say the feeling of somebody literally taking the dental equivalent of channel locks and pulling at your skull, that was a little weird. That was a little bit of a weird feeling. It was very strange. Yeah, Phil, no. And no prescription painkillers either. That stuff's terrible for you. So, I've been just on Advil and Tylenol, man. It's been the pain meter was put to the test, dude. That hurt, man. I think I'd rather break an arm. I've done that. I've broken this wrist before. Not broken the wrist. I've shattered every single bone from here to here. All up in here. 13 feet of vert at Skaters Island. What are you going to do? And yeah, I think I'd rather do that. No, I just had Novocaine Aqualex. Yep. So, yeah, the moral of the story here is brush your teeth, dudes. Oh, that's a nice project. No, very good. The moral of the story is brush your teeth. Trust me on this one. Brush your teeth. Okay.
Discovery,
Even if
go and throttle up.
dental insurance is not expensive or non-existent and you could just go to the dentist, the pain, it hurts, man. The tooth hurts. That hurts a lot. And it turns out that it happens to a lot more people than I kind of realized. Yeah. Take care of your teeth, dudes. Trust me on that one. I do. Except for this. But this is a product of not doing that for a long time. So, I brush every day. But I didn't, and there must have been a cavity. Like, there must have been a cavity inside of here. I didn't for the longest time. And there was a cavity, must have been like inside of that tooth or something. And it just rutted. It rutted the damn thing. No, Clayton. I didn't take any Tylenol today. The pain is bearable. It's fine. Hey, Kem. I hope you're doing well apart from the tooth problem. Apart from the tooth problem, I'm good, man. I got no complaints. We just got an electric toothbrush over the weekend. Shaw, get an electric toothbrush and get a water pick. So you don't have to floss. The water pick, you just shoot water at your teeth. And the hydraulic pressure gets all the crap out. Easy peasy. Trust me, you'll do it once and you'll spit out the water and you'll be like, oh, that was in there? Oh. Trust me. Take care of your teeth. This hurts. Like, think taking a right hook from Mike Tyson circa 1989. That's how much this hurts. Like, just boom! It's just, you know. Just remove teeth. No problem anymore. That's what they did, man. I kept it. I kept the damn tooth. It's in my medicine cabinet. I'm not even kidding. I kept the damn thing. So every time I open up the medicine cabinet to get the toothpaste, I see it. So it reminds me to brush my teeth. That tooth is disgusting. It's gross. I'm not showing it. I'm not showing it on stream. Just take my word for it. Power washing solves everything. Yep.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Yep. We got to see it though. Dude. I'm pretty sure it's against terms of service. It is disgusting. Like, I really wish the dentist had just showed me that instead of being like, you got to brush your teeth every day. Like, just be like, this is what happens. You want this to happen? This is what happens. Look. You know. Did you bring your present to work, boss? No. It's down in the house because I was reading it. Tier 3 sub report, EJ's 2. Hey, John, what's going on? So KSP2, time to build a flying PBY. What? There's no the buoyancy isn't figured out yet, dude. Seaplanes won't work correctly, and we have no propeller engines. Yeah, exactly. Pictures long on Smokebox. I wish they'd just done that. Just showed that. Be like, you see this? You want that? No. But you have air brakes. I mean, go in case you want, and that's if you want. Girls, EJ being an influencer make my blessed right teeth. How dare you? Seriously. Do it. It's... This hurts, man. It really hurts. Well, it doesn't hurt right now. It did, though. Was it any good? From what I saw, it looked right to me, Tessa. Welcome back. Thanks, Dragon. So, yeah, I'm here now for the duration, guys. So, yeah, let's jump into it. Let's check out the hotfix, I'd say. Let's go. Glad to see the tooth problem has been resolved. Otherwise, how's things been? Congrats on the wedding repost. Yeah, everything is good, man. Yeah, Vin. But it's cool. Because okay, so here's the thing. The dentist, I was talking to him before he pulled my tooth, right? As best as I could. And he was like, what do you do? And I'm like, I stream on, I'm a contractor for Amazon, you know. Because I'm not expecting the dentist to know what Twitch was. But the dentist knew what Twitch was. I'm like, oh, all right, sweet. There you go. So I told him what I do, right? And I'm like, teeth gotta look good. And he's like, yeah, I agree. I'm a dentist. I'm like, yeah, yeah, right? So, and dentists are big nerds. Yeah, exactly. The guy knew what Twitch was. And the dental assistant knew what Twitch was too. And it was, yeah. So I told him what I do. And he's like, oh, you're a nerd. Okay, cool. Like, that's the gist of it. He's like, oh, you're a nerd too. All right, cool. So he's like, you want me to say what I'm doing when I pull your tooth? I'm like, yeah. So, dude, I got a nice commentary about all the incisions that he did. It was awesome. It's like watching a medical documentary. I just really wish that, you know, if I was to do that again, that it wasn't my teeth being pulled. But still interesting. It's cool. I don't know, Nova, maybe. That's exactly what he said, Chief. Yeah, we gotta wait a while before they put a tooth in there. Put a replacement in there. I've been invited to an assessment day for an analyst position at Williams. All right. Hey, geek. What's going on? Yeah, so... Did he also note that you would be best taking some time? Yeah, that's why I haven't been here, Poison. Yeah. No, Tessa, I don't want to do any of that. Anyway, it was more of a joke. Okay. Anyway, how we feeling today? Let's beat up. I'm fine, dude. There's still a little bit of swelling up in here, but that's from the surgery. It's not from the infection. The infection's gone. I can tell because I can actually open my mouth for a change. Yeah, it's weird not having that tooth there. And I'm really bummed that they had to pull it, but it is what it is. Alright, let's see what we got. Even if I don't get a job, it's Dave Williams HQ. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cooking. I think I'd rather break an arm. I've broken an arm, or, well, not an arm. It's like the end of my arm and the wrist. I've done that before, and I think I'd rather do that if I had to choose. What are the new updates for KSP now? They did a hotfix the other day that tests interplanetary trajectories. So, I think we'll get, maybe this one? Maybe this one works. That's cool, Unfrod. Neat. Hey, neat. 100-month resub, dude. The 100-month subs, man. Unfreaking believable. Unreal. Oh, one more thing real quick. Guys, before we jump in,
go and throttle up.
I watched the Starfield gameplay trailer, and I am very disappointed to say that I fell for Todd Howard's nonsense again. No, I didn't pre-order it, and I'm not going to. But Starfield looks really good. Starfield looks really good. Like, really good. Started with those eyes, those damn eyes. No, it looks... Hey, Thrawn with a 55er. I'll see you play it before buying it. That's fair. Starfield looks insane. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a Gamebryo game. It's definitely on the same engine that Fallout 4 and Skyrim and all that. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Dudes, you can... It's open world across 1,000 star systems. And from what I can tell, You actually have to get in your spaceship and go from star system to star system, right? And then you can land, and then once you land on a planet, you could do Fallout things or Skyrim things on said planet. Some planets are habitable, some planets aren't, some planets you need a spacesuit, etc., etc. But you can, there's a shipbuilder in it. There's a shipbuilder in the damn game. I fell for that hook, line, and sinker. There's a shipbuilder, and so, like, you can go and you can pirate another ship out in space, right? Take control, like, board the ship, take control of it, salvage it for parts, and put parts on your own ship. Anybody play Jump to Lightspeed back in the day? Star Wars Galaxy's Jump to Lightspeed? Like that. Damn it! Remember for when we played Fallout 4 and we went power armor hunting? I know what I'm doing when we play Starfield. Screw the story. I'm not playing the story. We're going ship hunting, boys and girls. We're going ship hunting. I'm gonna hunt for ship parts, and I'm gonna build the ship. Yeah. You played Galaxies a ton before Jump to Lightspeed. Yeah, dude, it's like Jump to Lightspeed, where you could go, you go mine. Remember in SWG you had to go mine resources, and you mine the resource and you use that to make better parts or better loot. So stuff that would kill people, the blue bar and stuff, kill people's. It wasn't called mana at the time. Mind, I think. Dude, that, like that, you have to mine stuff to get good loot to build good part. Like I'm like, oh. And you have to go out and prospect on other planets, find good deposits, and you build settlements there to mine the sucker. I'm like, oh, frick you. Oh, no. To be fair, I have low expectations for Starfield. I know, so do I, Platinum, but from what I saw, it looked pretty damn good. Hope the shipbuilding is on a similar level to Starbase. It doesn't look like Starbase, Spoop. And Starbase, the Starbase shipbuilder was dope. I never finished my ship. We should do that. I see no difference from Star Citizen. It's a single-player RPG, Chief, like Fallout or Skyrim. That's the difference. Ando, I'm gonna play it. Whether I get addicted to it or not remains to be seen. But yeah. ARJ with the 67. Apparently need to get in your ship, go to space, and then go to different parts of a planet, which is fine, but not fully open planet. Oh, really, Tars? Oh. That kind of ruins it, but still cool, I guess. Starbase, yeah, they went under. Yeah. Which kind of blows, but it is what it is. You can capture AI ships and add them to your fleet. Yeah, Dragon. Like, I'm going to become Watto. The Watto junk dealer. Ah, yes. Nubian. We got lots of that. Ow. Okay. Yeah, can't do that. How's the tooth? Getting there. Thanks, Bib. Welcome back. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. So, credits will, but no, they won't. T14 hyperdrive. Did they pull it? Yeah, I have it in my medicine cabinet, dude. Because it is so ridiculously gruesome to look at. I will... Yeah, it's just a reminder to brush your teeth. Dude, I honestly, I think showing that tooth on stream would be like a TOS violation. What's the date for Starfield? September 6th. I imagine dentists will be a highly sought-after commodity in space.
Discovery,
hey, Toothless EJ, how are you? I'm great. Hey, Diagonalizer 2224, appreciate it. But not on Discord. Dude, I don't want to show it. Honestly, Endo, like, I could put it on Discord, I could show everybody. I'm embarrassed. I'm very embarrassed. Like, the fact that I even had to say something on stream is... It's very embarrassing. You talk about Starbase Texas being not used anymore? That's not what I heard. Alright, that's my only day off over. I gotta go to bed. Alright, 2020, see you, buddy. If you need a tooth that needs to be pulled out, imagine a nerve infection in your mouth. Oh, Spoop, I don't need to imagine. That's exactly what happened last week. I split a tooth right in half, and the nerve in the root got infected, and my whole face swelled up like a balloon. It was not fun. I don't need to imagine. It hurt. That's pretty high on the pain meter. Yep. One last thing. Still need me to weld something for you? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, like that. Exactly, Tessa. Yeah, like that. Broken arm is less pain? I think I'd rather do that, Bronze. Yeah. Because then you splint it and you're good to go. It only hurts for this thing is just... I mean, 2020, we might in the future. Here, check it out. Yeah, just in case anybody's wondering. Freb's still good. I drive Freb around daily. I go down to the store and get groceries with that thing. Oh yeah, I got a gas stove, by the way. Put in the house, and my garage just became the place to store it. Did you watch a new Cities 2 Dev Diary this morning? I am a little bit behind on those, Doom, but yeah. I'm gonna ask them if they can do like a titanium tooth or something, because titanium. Yeah, I got the titanium ring. Why not a titanium tooth? Hey, J-Speed, what's going on? Yeah, Cities 2 looks amazing. That's in October, from what I understand. Anyway. Get an Inco tooth? Why? Is my mouth gonna be going through re-entry or something? Now, let's go in here. Triton. Let's see if this one works. Night, I'm doing okay. That wasn't a thing before. Depleted uranium tooth. I don't think I want that either. "24 Hours of Freedom Factory" is kind of meh. Yeah, Hellfish, I did watch those videos. The fact that they switched cars was... meh. Last. Sorry if I posted Cities Update. Alright, we'll check it out in a little bit, okay? Yeah, Noswolf. I was thinking, like, dude... 24-hour Freedom Factory would be kind of cool, but that would be... That's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, Geek, it'd be cool if they got, like, one of those Crown Vics, like, they did all the routine maintenance and service for it, rebuilt the engine, rebuilt the transmission, put it all together, and then saw how it worked. See, like, just drive the thing, see how long it can go before it breaks, but... yeah, they're working with these Crown Vics that have like 250,000 miles on it. So, I don't know what to tell you. You know, like, I don't know what do you want? Is that the track that they're trying to put a housing development next to? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of stupid. I'm trying to think what vehicle do I have? Yeah, there's 24-hour lemons. Yep, yep. mean... See what it does. I need something that can go interplanetary. I think this rocket's big enough to do that. But if I remember, the Triton doesn't work anymore. That can't be good. Yep. We've had an anomaly! We have to secure the area? Yeah, that doesn't work anymore. You know what? You guys want to see this part probably, right? Probably. Is this a stress test craft? Well, this is a super heavy launch vehicle that I built to basically do any Kerbal challenge, but... The fairing is still intact. Wait, where's the launch pad? Wait, what happened to the launch pad? Huh. We seem to be missing some parts. Alright, well. Yeah, the fairing was great. Payload inside. Yeah, Tessa, they gotta release them in time for the holidays and stuff. Finally got moved in and unpacked. The house is now livable. Nice, Steegen. Congratulations. There you go. Is it my internet or is KSP2 much more laggy than KSP1? It is right now, but it's actually about the same, Angry Pixel. To be honest with you. That also was a insane amount of parts for even KSP1 would have lagged harder than that. That was a lot of parts, dude. Probably easily over 1,000. Here, let's try this one. Now, this one doesn't have a big upper stage in it, but we can tap the fuel. So, basically what they changed is the interplanetary trajectories here. They basically fixed the problem where there's an interplanetary trajectory and you have... you basically warp to the interplanetary trajectory and it says no. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that's what I desire! Did you guys see that? Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that what I desire. pumping in chance. I really wish Metallica kicked in right there. Dude, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Just... Should I risk it? Alright, just for a second. Just for a second. Just for a second.
And here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Ooh.
Okay, that's enough. That's a NASA tweet, by the way. Here, I'll link it in chat. Direct input? What is this? Allows control of locomotives via input devices such as joysticks and throttles. Oh, neat. Headbanging is going to make my face hurt. Yeah, that's why. That's more the reason why I stopped. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that's what I desire. Fuel is pumping in chance. Yeah, that's not how movie rights work, though, John. I don't think, or intellectual property rights. I don't care. I don't want to get in that argument, dude. I know that if the Twitch VOD counter picks it up, I'm screwed. So I'm screwed. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that what I desire. See, when you have a kind of normal sized part count rocket, dude, the game works great. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. You just got pre-approved for your first house loan. Ah, congratulations. You've taken your first step into a larger living situation. It worked. Nice, man. It might be Endo, yeah, maybe. You're actually moving into a condo on Saturday. It has a staircase that is more like a ladder from the main floor to the loft. Not sure how you feel about that. Are you coming down for NG19? I hadn't planned on it, John, but when is it? Stand by for separation. Yeah, baby. That looks right. Looks right to me. I agree, Tessa. Yeah, that'd be nice. It's on the 1st of August? I'll see what I can see, man. Nice, Sawyer. There you go. Very nice. Oh, very good. How's the surgery? I hope you're doing better. I'm alright. Okay, the pharynx still do that, but alright. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that's what I desire. Hey, Frankie, I'm doing alright. I'm doing alright, dude. Yeah, it hurts. I mean, well, it doesn't hurt that much anymore. It still feels like I had a tooth pulled. Like, something feels off. Like there should be something here, but there isn't. Like, my tongue keeps moving over and being like, wait, where's the tooth? What the hell? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. How's your freaking face? It's alright, man. Zeldafax, hey, 24 months. Thank you. Mike Tyson took the damn tooth out of it. Yeah, he took it. He came up to me like, he's like, EJ, your tooth, I'm coming for it. And I'm like, oh no, please don't hit me. He's like, oh, too bad. Boom! I'm like, Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that's what I desire. Everyone got a good plan until they get punched in the face, Kuro. And guys, I would like to add that I do my Mike Tyson impression out of pure respect because Mike Tyson is my favorite boxer. He's a freaking man. Anybody comes in there with the ring with me, they're as good as dead. I'm like, yeah, what a beast. Your tongue will seek out that missing tooth constantly for the first few weeks. Yeah, Ewok. I'm like, the hell's my tooth? What the hell is this? That's pretty good. Thank you very much. Yeah, maybe the tiger ate his butt like Omar. Well, what happened to Omar? Oh, don't worry about Omar. He's not with us no more.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Hey, Porter. What's up, dude? It's a pretty good beef jerky trap. See last.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Webb may have spotted supermassive dark stars. Oh, yeah, see, the dark star does exist. I told you. Jim, hey, this button is back. All right, cool. We need a better upper stage for this. I designed it to work to flame out on a suborbital trajectory like what SLS's core does with an 81-ton whatever up top. Good at def? Yeah, you weren't joking. What? Wait, the Dark Star exists? Yeah, we might need an EUS. You need a second stage period. Yeah, I know. It's funny how that works. Alright. So we need something that can go on interplanetary trajectories. Let's see if they fix the craft combining stuff, because I did make an EUS before that freaking Moho challenge pissed me off so much that I decided to stop playing the game for a little while. Let's load. Stand a line? Okay, whatever. Yeah, here's my exploration upper stage. Yeah, buddy. It's pretty good. EJ and Kerbal. Name a more iconic duo. Thanks, man. What do you think the Red Bull's plan here is with all that movement? I don't know what that means, Moto. Now, I did have a craft file where I combined them, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. HLV, EUS, Eve. Eve Lander with EUS. Alright, let's see what we got. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
I got Metallica stuck in my head. Huh. Alright, well, let's see if this does it, I guess. I saw the weekly challenge, Nova. It's vertical takeoff, horizontal landing. Are we gonna try? Are we gonna try? I'll make Jebstar. I'll copy the design from KSV1, put it right in. Are we gonna try for it? I think we might. All right, let's see if this sucker works. Ready? And here we go. Oh, snap. Come on, go up. There we go. Yeah, there's gonna be boxers. That's right. Every time we play Kerbal, there's either gonna be a successful mission or an explosion. Either way, we're all gonna have a lot of fun, right? Roll program. Roger, roll. Vehicle's now pitching down range. To quote you when I was going for the shuttle, game needs more time in the oven. It does, dude. It does. That's all. I'm just checking the hotfix, dude. We're just checking into the hotfix. You'd love to see more pad stuff in KSV1? Alright. Glorious 9 FPS. Better than Kerbal 1. It's an improvement. How many parts on this at launch? I'm not 100% sure, Inglonious. I designed this vehicle to be Kraken-proof. I basically made it in a way with a basic understanding of Kerbal's hierarchy. Well, not basic, pretty advanced understanding of Kerbal's hierarchy. And a lot of stuff in Kerbal 2, a lot of stuff in Kerbal 1 translated to Kerbal 2. So I knew this vehicle would work. It's Kraken-proof. It's a lot of parts, but it's Kraken-proof. It's basically strutted fairings together. Yeah. It's basically more struts to a T, but strategically more struts. No. Do we have a Marvin shirt yet? John, the Marvin thing doesn't really make sense anymore, dude, because they added this. I can't really have Marvin and this, see what I'm saying? Like, that's the probe core. A probe core shows up as the face. So we might need to make that the Marvin 2.0 shirt. Did you fly this rocket last patch? I did. More struts than actual parts is KSV's DNA. And that's what I mean, Robbie. That's what I mean about this game. Just give it some time. Give it some time. The progress is in the right direction. It's just a little bit slow because early access. That's how they decided to meter the content. It is what it is. I think, people are predispositioned to focus on bad, dude. Like, for instance, look at the plumes. Plumes look freaking sweet, dude. That looks perfect. They're having so basically the short story, guys, is they're having trouble with the terrain. Basically, the GPU can render all of this, right? And then when it sends that information to the CPU bottlenecks. It can't handle it. It can't handle the GPU doing all these calculations. Now, what do you mean calculations? This is rendering, right? It's the LOD change, guys. They're using a planetary rendering system called procedural quaternons. Procedural quaternon system, PQS. It's something that the original Kerbal 1 had. It basically, as you get further away, the detail goes down. The detail changes on stuff for optimization purposes. PQS is bottlenecking. That process is bottlenecking the CPU. They're replacing it with something called concurrent binary system. Or concurrent binary something system. CBTS is what it's called. They're replacing it with that. And that will allow, basically, these much prettier graphics to jive a lot better, and the relationship to jive a lot better for not bottlenecking the CPU. That's all. That's going to take some time. But, dude, once they figure that out, once they get CBTS like implemented correctly, this game will look this pretty, and we'll be getting probably about this many frames here. Like, there's no guarantees, and I'm not the devs either, but it'll probably be getting about this many frames here during a launch with a decent part count vehicle. I mean, guys, honestly, performance depends on your processor. It really does. Like, it depends on the processor and the GPU. Like, obviously, it's a PC game. It's not necessarily that. The GPU can render the stuff quickly, Boxer, but the piece of code that they have for the GPU to send that information to the CPU is bottlenecking pretty hard. I mean, dude, I can show you. Here, let me pause this. Check this out. How's that for a bottleneck? Look at Core 3. Or CPU 2. It'd be 0, 1, and 2, so... See what I'm talking about? It's basically the GPU is working too fast, and the code that they have to send it to the CPU is like, what? Yeah, dude, once they get that figured out, once they introduce the concurrent binary tree system, yeah, well, dude, that's what I mean about having they need more time in the oven. Yeah, once again, it's a CPU bottleneck. The simulation doesn't like trying to change all the, like, I mean, okay, so think about what this thing is doing here. Think about how much texture information is being rendered in this particular shot right here. How much high-res texture is being rendered? What about the shadows from the clouds being rendered on the terrain? The clouds themselves. That's a lot of graphics. That's a lot of graphics being moved. That's a lot of stuff being rendered by the GPU, and don't get me wrong, the GPU can take it just fine. It's when it sends the information to derez and re-res 1,000 freaking swatches of texture all at once, that the CPU is like, okay. You look so much better. Thank you. Hey, Klavic, 68-month resub. And this is why we're spiking CPU 2. Because it's basically, CPU 2 is trying to render and de-render, change the resolution, or it's trying to process the information of all the different changing resolutions, and they're called LODs in video games, level of detail. You've seen level of detail if you've played any video game at any time. Something is kind of blurry, and then you get close to it, and it renders it in a higher resolution. It renders it more detailed. That's LOD. It's procedural quadranons is basically an LOD system that's optimized for KSP, but when you take PQS and you make the graphics way nicer, and you add stuff like clouds, and you add stuff like really higher res textures and advanced shading and lighting over the terrain, and I will say the graphics team has done an incredible job. I mean, Ness is the woman that's leading that. This is great. I mean, look at it; it's beautiful. This looks awesome. But sending all that graphics information, all this changing information, sending it to one core on one CPU is, yeah, that's, the CPU doesn't like that. It doesn't like that. I mean, the other CPUs are like, hey guys, we're just chilling. This one's like, no! So once they get that figured out, and with their new concurrent binary tree system, so CBTS, once they figure that out, if I'm understanding it right, it optimizes this and distributes that LOD information across multiple processors, and not just one. Keep in mind, my understanding could be wrong. I have a graphic computer animation degree, but it's from 15 years ago, so I'm probably missing a step there. But once they get that figured out to distribute that information better and not bottleneck one CPU, yeah. This game's gonna be mint, dude. Thrust tailing off. SRB standing by for separation. What are your gaming system specs? Oh, here, I can show you real quick. Here, we'll do an old trick here. Let me just make sure. Yeah, there we go. Here, take a look. I got a 8700K that's overclocked. It's not 3.7. It's 4.8. It's overclocked to 4.8, liquid-cooled CPU, 32 gigs of RAM, and we're running a 3080 Ti. Yeah, like I said, it is very, very, very dependent on hardware. I have all the graphics set to maximum. The specs are in the channel description too. Yeah, Boxer, you got it, buddy. Getting time for a CPU upgrade? I don't think so, Tessa. I think we're good. So the interesting thing is, as we get further away, and this terrain, the computer finally, basically the processor finally catches up with de-rendering all this, right? Changing all of this stuff, right? Sound went away for a moment. Hang on one second. Rates aren't lining up with... Oh, it's caps lock. Okay, cool. I had fine control enabled. Basically, once we get higher up in space, all this stuff will move to a lower resolution. The processor will finally catch up with moving all this, and our frames will spike. They'll go up. Big time. Exactly, Boxer. Yeah, you got it, dude. Yep. That's, I mean, dude, that's a little bit of work under the hood, so to speak, but that's what I mean about it just needing more time in the oven, guys. Once they get the CBTS, the concurrent binary tree, figured out, this game, yeah, that's when it'll really come into its own. At least, I don't know, I can't predict the future. That's my guess. Stand by for fairing separation. Separation confirmed. Okay, alright, I guess you're going over there. Bye. Their people need them, Canadian, that's all. Not now, my people need me! Gotta point at the horizon. Gotta do some slight radial in here. Optimize our orbital insertion. But seriously though, the graphics team, I mean, look at that, dude. That's pretty damn good for a simulation piece of software. Why didn't we just keep the shuttle to build transfer vehicles in low Earth orbit? No, but the short story is that it was too old. That's the short story. It's too old. We should have started doing that in the 80s, but we didn't start. I mean, the shuttle's plan was always to do stuff like that. It was to build the space station, have the space station done by the 1990s, and then use the space station as a research lab and transfer station for sending stuff back to the moon. We would be, with the shuttle program, we were back at the moon. We should have been back at the moon by the late 90s. Right? But with a much more reusable vehicle than the Saturn V. Now, the funny thing is that in retrospect, I honestly think that it probably would have been less expensive just building Saturn Vs, because the Saturn Vs aren't nearly as advanced pieces of hardware as the space shuttle was, right? That's reusability versus expendability. I think what it really comes down to it is scale. Price will go down with scale. Doesn't matter how complicated the vehicle is. Case in point, Model T. The Model T might as well have been a spacecraft when they started making them, right? The Ford Model T might as well have been a spacecraft when they started making it, dude. right? You know, you go 1912, 1913, you see people driving in a car, and you're like, what the frick is that? Where's the horse, right? You go 20 years into the future there, into the 1930s, cars are the norm. Everyone has a car. In fact, if you're riding around on a horse, people are going, what the hell? Right? You just basically have to sink enough money into the thing for the price to go down. You know, people, even going into World War II, dude, people thought traveling by plane was dumb. That was really stupid. Why would you do that? That's so expensive. That makes no sense. Why do that? You could just take a ship. I mean, yeah, it takes a little bit longer, but it's way cheaper. Right? And then this came out. And then Boeing made that, and yeah, that's all she wrote. When Boeing came out with this, guys, going across the ocean in the late 50s via cruise ship was actually one of the quicker ways to get there. That's how most people move. We moved by boats, basically, till the 40s and the 50s. And then this thing came out. You go into the 60s and the 70s, and cruise ships are sitting in there at a berth rotting because this thing is way better. See what I mean? What about the Comet? No, but it's interesting because history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. The Comet is an awesome airplane. It's an awesome airplane, way ahead of its time. The Brits had this figured out in basically the late 40s. But the Comet A wasn't implemented in mass numbers. They didn't really have the manufacturing base to make this. I mean, they did, don't get me wrong. A lot of Comets were made. But interesting thing, the Comet suffered from a very, very critical problem. Okay? The critical problem was the windows on the Comet. The early de Havilland Comets had square windows. Square windows. No good. And don't get me wrong, the Comet is an amazing airplane. You would not be able to date this plane correctly unless you looked at the tail. If you put a modern tail and modern stabilizers on this plane looks like it could have came out yesterday. That's how far ahead of its time it was. But you see how that Comet has circular windows, and all airplanes, might I add, have circular windows. Now the Comet had square windows, and that caused catastrophic depressurization. So the Comet, basically what happened to the Comet was the same thing that happened to the Chevy Corvair. Unsafe at any speed, etc., etc. The Chevy Corvair, despite being a pretty damn safe vehicle, got a reputation for being an unsafe vehicle. Same thing with the Ford Pinto. You know, there was one or two, actually, I was going to say one or two cases, but there was a couple of different cases where the Pinto, if rear-ended in the right spot on a certain trim level with a certain type of car, exploded. And that gave it a terrible reputation. People forget that the Pinto was one of the best-selling cars in U.S. history, but it explodes though, right? So that because the Comet had this reputation for depressurizing with the early variants mid-flight and killing everybody aboard, it kind of sacked itself so better planes would come around in the future. But de Havilland had it right. This is correct. Once they got the circle windows up and running, the Comet became one of the most reliable aircraft flying. When Boeing came out with the 707 and every single jetliner after that, they all have circular windows because they learned from de Havilland to not do that. But also, Boeing was able to mass produce these things. That's what I mean. Mass produce them. This thing isn't any better or worse than a Comet, except this thing can do barrel rolls. If you know, you know. But Boeing made a lot of them. They knew that they needed to make a lot of them. If they make a lot of them, then air travel goes down. The price goes down. Make sense? The de Havilland Comet was basically the space shuttle, dude. It was the space shuttle. And this thing ended up being the starship, so to speak. That's what I mean about history not repeating, but it rhymes. Chuck Yeager? No. Tex Johnson is the guy's name, or was the guy's name. He took the Dash 80, the 367-80, and during basically a Boeing company picnic, flew this plane over and literally did a roll with the damn thing. Oh yeah. 367-80. It's in the Smithsonian. It's actually right next to an SR-71 and the Enola Gay. That is one of the most historically significant airplanes in that museum. Right up there with the Space Shuttle, the Enola Gay, the SR-71. Yep. That plane is super important. Barrel roll at that, not an aileron roll. Yep. 367-80. That's the first 707 ever made. It wasn't even called the 707. It was the 367-80. That was the Dash 80 was Boeing's internal company numbering system. Yeah, that plane is flown upside down. And it's in the Smithsonian. See? So the next time you're at the Udvar Hazy Center at the Smithsonian and you walk by this, oh, that's a cool Boeing prototype plane. No, that's the prototype plane. This thing started the jet age. And it's flown upside down, which is really cool. Yeah, Beryl. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what will replace jetliners? Zeno? What will replace jetliners while we're here? Personal opinion? This thing. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, Hellfish. I knew what that plane was. I explained it. Explain for chat the difference between an aileron and a barrel roll. Where are my model planes? Where did I put the models? I have models. I have model F4 Phantoms around here for this exact reason. Okay, here we go. There it is. I got it. So, this is for all the, well, technically people are out there, so this is for you. An aileron roll is when the plane basically just does this, right? Just. Barrel roll is when you have yaw and aileron roll, so the plane ends up going like this. That's the difference. You don't just do this and say you did a barrel roll. That's not right. You have to have yaw on the plane as well to get the plane to go up and over like that. That's the difference. Also, F4 Phantom. Yes, I have toys on my desk. I don't care. F4 Phantom. So, where do I think it's going to go? I think this thing has the potential to be a huge game changer. What is this? It's the X-59. It's not flying yet, but it's close. The X-59 is right here. So, if this thing looks like a platypus, yeah, pretty much. What this thing is designed to do is basically, this thing does to air what a cigarette boat does to water. I mean, don't get me wrong, water and air are two different fluid mediums, but a cigarette boat is designed to basically go really, really fast and cut through the air and leave little to no wake, right? Not a lot of wake coming from a cigarette boat. Literally the same idea, but with air. But because air is different than water, it ends up not looking like a cigarette boat. The idea here is to not leave a crazy big supersonic wake. Basically the wake that a plane leaves going hypersonic speeds, it's called a boundary layer. The bigger that boundary layer is, the bigger the wake is, the louder the sonic boom. The reason this plane looks like a flying platypus with bat wings on the side is because they're trying to not have that wake be as big and basically make the plane able to go supersonic without leaving that big of a sonic boom. Quiet supersonic transport. Yeah, the X-59 is very cool. It's a Skunkworks plane, guys. It's being made by Lockheed. Yeah, they rolled it out of the hangar for the first time the other day. That's actually what that picture is. There's some really awesome pictures of it on here. Yeah, it automatically went to the EUS. Here, let's go here and let's do X-59. There are some awesome pictures of the thing. It is a strange looking plane, I will say, but somebody builds a Concorde and it works like this after NASA proves that it can be done. Person gonna make a lot of money. Yeah, the plane is very, very strange looking. It's got that huge freaking platypus nose on it. The V-280 Valor is amazing. It's alright. Nova Ninja, that thing's pretty cool. Anyway. The shuttle basically ended up like the de Havilland, dude. To bring this conversation back, it ended up like the Comet. You know, we should have been doing that in the 90s, but shuttle kind of got a bad rap after Challenger, just like the Comet got a bad rap after it depressurized in flight. They changed the windows and it worked a lot better, but there you go. Basically looks like an arrow. Yeah, cool amount. That thing is cool. And if that, dude, if that thing works, if it works, it's going to be a big deal. Shuttle strap sank even lower with Columbia. Yep. Did you see the Ford lowered the price on the Lightning from 60K to 50K? Cool. And that's what Pants, I mean, that has to do with this. As you scale, as you make more, the price will go down. That's why it doesn't matter if you're expendable. It doesn't matter if you're reusable. You make more, the price goes down. Isn't that what caused the Valkyrie accident? What? No. No, not at all. Couldn't you solve the sonic boom problem by flying higher? I mean, no. I mean, Geek, think about it like this. I'm standing on one side of a lake. You're standing on one side of a lake, okay? You throw a big rock into the lake. The ripples will reach me. What you're saying, like, it doesn't matter how big the damn lake is. The ripple, if you throw a big enough rock in there, the ripples will, they'll get there, right? That's kind of what I'm getting at. I mean, Concorde flew at 60,000 feet, and it still made a sonic boom that sounded like a howitzer going off. Flying higher doesn't necessarily do it. I mean, if you had a big enough lake, yeah, maybe. Like, obviously, if you're like, if I'm on one side of Lake Michigan and you're on the other, you throw a freaking rock in, I'm never going to see that. It's going to get disrupted by other things. But our atmosphere is not that big. I mean, you'd need something to fly like SR-71 altitude or something. And even the SR-71 made sonic booms, dude. Yeah. The sound propagates. I mean, dude, it's loud. It's very loud. Sonic booms are extremely loud. I've heard them from rockets. Yeah, very loud. The aviation industry spent the next 30 to 40 years learning about metal fatigue after the Comet. Yeah, aluminum does do that. Alright, stand by for upper stage separation here. Jojo B, 9 months. Congrats, it's a boy. Oh, thank you. Give me 1 second, dudes. Let me, resource manager. Sweet. Okay, first burn is good. Let's wait till we get to AP, circularize, and then we'll try some interplanetary trajectories with this thing. It's actually good to see that the EUS is working, but all my struts aren't connected anymore.
Discovery, go and throttle up. Discovery, go and throttle up.
There's still some hierarchy gremlins with this thing. Hey, Postal 33, Yogi with a 5. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry I was gone. Problems were kind of out of my control. Yeah, my struts went away. That's a little weird. It's probably because of the hierarchical staging, dude, if I had to guess. Root part on that SLS thing was back here, Nova? Not up here. So it probably figured that this was separated debris because I had to switch vehicles. That's most likely what's going on here. Grade maneuver plan question. All right, we're gonna circularize up here. Hey, Dr. Death, what's up? Same thing happened to you. Like I said, it's a hierarchy thing, dude. Or not. Okay. This craft file might need to be remade. This is from an older version of Kerbal, to be fair. Yeah, let's just yeah, okay. It's made from an older, that's from an older version. If I try to remake the same thing right now, it probably won't do that. But we won't know until we try, so let's go. No, I don't use player files. Thank you, though. That's not my style, man. Well, there's your problem. The engines aren't there. Like I said, you know what? Let's do the first and glaring easy solution here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select 3 and reroute. We're going to reroute to that probe core right there. Now let's launch it. Let's see what happens now. Let's see if rerouting like that would fix most problems in KSP. The root part always needs to go first with most KSP1 builds. Let's see if that rings true for KSP2. Yep. You guys might want to duck. Okay, new craft file. New craft file. All right. Well, the front fell off. Is there an F12 menu? There was, and they... Let's, just go and... go. That's weird. The ball will probably do it. Probably, maybe. I'm not sure if this one's gonna work. This one might work. 4/13/2023. This is 4/13/2023. This is 607, 608. All right, let's try piss off game. Let's see if that one works. Two plus 2 equals banana. Our control point's inverted. This is about to end very poorly. Utility. Hey, fixed it in time. No need to panic. You boys got it. Yeah, of course I know about Liberty. Liberty is 5-segment SRB with an Ariane 5 core stacked on top of it. Not a bad idea, I suppose. Yes, I've heard. I actually went into why we're getting bad frames down here. Long story short, it's the terrain. It's rendering all this high-res terrain while you're simulating something. Once you get up on orbit, dude, it goes away. Especially rendering all this stuff around here. How would you air start the Vulcan engine? There's a reason why they didn't do it, Nova. Let me put it to you like that. Would Max Q be on the nose cone or the ball? Max Q, that's not... Flyboy, you're not asking the right question. Maximum dynamic pressure is the overall load on the entire vehicle. Your center of pressure, if you're asking if the center of pressure would be more biased forward because of the nose or this, it's the nose cone by a long shot. Yeah. This could fly. It's possible. You could fly something like this. I'm not... Your center of pressure might be too far forward even for Earth. Okay, I thought it was just the nose. Now, yeah, you do have pressure differentials, dude. Don't get me wrong, but saying like, "Oh, where's the max Q on the vehicle?" That's like saying, "Oh, where's the miles per hour on the car?" That doesn't really not the right way to say it. Where's the highest pressure being exerted on the vehicle here? So where's our center of pressure would be the right way to ask that question, dude. But I understand what you're saying. It's the nose cone. Just don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be like, well, actually, but yeah, you go around asking that question, people are going to look at you funny. The nose cone is going to receive a lot of pressure in this design. Now, that thing that I was talking about, those aerodynamic wakes, in this design, most likely at lower altitudes, it's going to shoot out and past. Yeah, there might be some areas here where the flow separation coming off the nose cone will impact a little bit on the circle, and the aerodynamic wake will bounce off the circle. And it's at that point when you're probably receiving the most stress on the vehicle. I'll bet you that happens somewhere in the transonic regime. That would be the very, very aerodynamically unstable part of this. But if you could, it's really basically how the fairing shape is. If you can make a shape that basically tosses the boundary layer out past this and have it come back down here, it's going to be no less aerodynamic than any other type of rocket. Case in point, if you look at Atlas is the same idea. When Atlas separates all of its solid rocket boosters, it has this big bulky 5-meter fairing in the front and a 3.7-meter diameter core behind it, right? When it flies like, not exactly like that, but with the fairing on it. Same idea. If you can, it depends on the shape of the fairing. If you can get it to go out and past, you'll have low pressure on the conic on the boat tail, conic boat tail sections of the vehicle, there will be some drag exerted there, but for the most part, it'll just stay there. The arrow will basically shoot right past it. Think like a little tide pool on the side of the vehicle. Now, those little aerodynamic tide pools, that's not the right way to say it. Don't kill me, I'm trying to be general here. That does create drag, and that does screw with your center of pressure. But, yeah, if you make the fairing the right shape, it'll just go right past it. Another good example of this, learn how to spell. Another good example of this is Soyuz. Look. Soyuz hot stages, second stage to third stage. Look, you can see right through it. It's just a bunch of struts holding that thing up. But the air just passes right by it, and the air that's stuck in there just stays in there. That doesn't necessarily cause drag in this particular design. I mean, it might cause a little bit, but it's not too bad. The air will just stay there. Pretty cool, huh? You hit the old 18-year mark today. Well, congratulations, Grav. You can vote. The devs are currently waiting for Unity's next-gen terrain system so they can reproduce performance impact. Yeah, Blue, you weren't there for that. I explained concurrent binary tree and PQS a second ago already. But yeah, thanks, man. Starliner had the skirt to help with aerodynamics. That's another good example, Stealthy Sumo, but that is trying to solve a slightly different problem. So this is actually really cool. I learned this from Tori Bruno explaining this on Twitter, and I'll admit I didn't get it at first. It didn't make a lot of sense in my head. So Starliner has this little skirt behind it. And the skirt's actually super interesting. The skirt and this little grate piece right here, see this grating right there that kind of looks like a grid fin? Now, when I first saw that on Starliner, I was like, oh, okay, that's there to keep the center of pressure low if there's an in-flight abort. Yes and no. More no, believe it or not. It does help for that, but that's not why that's there. That cheese grater that they kind of bolted to the side of Starliner's service module is actually there to... Okay, this gets a little complicated, all right? That combined with the skirt is there to basically make sure that that wake that I was telling you guys about. Remember how I said with our kind of ball rocket here that wake, you would want it to basically go out and around. But depending on your speed, so depending on your airspeed, depending on how fast the air is going over the vehicle, right? And also depending on the pressure, so the sky, like what's the pressure at? Because once you get up there, the pressure is 0, right? The angle of that wake is going to change. Think about if a boat is going really slow through the water versus if a boat's going really fast through the water. The angle changes. That happens with aerodynamics too, because you're going through a dynamic medium, hence aerodynamics. It has to do with flying through the air and changing conditions. That right there is why aerodynamics are so complicated, because everything changes all the time. Flying down here isn't the same as flying up there. Such is the case for rockets. The wake angle coming off of this fairing changes with speed. At lower speeds, it'll go out to the sides. The theta angle of the boundary layer will change. It'll actually go this way. It'll go more out here. But as speed increases and pressure drops, actually, it's just speed increases. We'll get into pressure drops later. As the speed increases, the angle actually comes in. And the angle, if that boundary layer ends up hitting this, well, guess what? You have a boundary, the aerodynamic wake is bouncing off the ball. That's going to move your center of pressure really forward, really, really fast. That would make it very aerodynamically unstable in that particular regime, right? So in that particular case, if you can get the boundary layer to bounce off the ball, you got a bad problem. That'll shoot your center of pressure forward really, really quickly. Now, Starliner has that cheese grater attached to the side because what that cheese grater and the aft skirt is designed to do is to make sure that the wake angle does not change no matter how fast Starliner is flying through the atmosphere and up into space. It's actually some really trick aerodynamics. Really trick. This is super interesting stuff. Basically, like I said, you're going to have a boundary layer coming off the side, right? and then some air is going to get caught in that little tide pool right here. Basically what this does is it diverts the air coming back up, that low pressure pocket that happens here from the wake. It diverts it up and feeds it kind of back into the wake. I know I'm not saying this correctly, by the way, but it makes it so that because it's feeding air back into the wake, the angle doesn't change. So with Starliner, you actually don't have as much boundary layer angle changing depending relative to the vehicle. It's really smart. Really, really smart stuff. Now why? Why is that a big problem? Well, that's a big problem because Starliner N22 is not the most aerodynamic thing we've seen. That doesn't look aerodynamic at all. This looks like something that you'd make in KSP, right? But if you try to make this in KSP, it would wobble out of control and crash. The real one doesn't because of the cheese grater. What this is designed to do, what the cheese grater is designed to do, is mimic a different shape. It's designed to mimic the Atlas fairing shape, basically. Because when you have rockets with a stubbier fairing, you're running into all kinds of wake problems with the vehicle, with that boundary wake. This thing, so a shorter vehicle, a vehicle with a shorter fairing and a longer rocket is not going to be as stable. Think about like if you have a pistol cartridge for a gun versus a rifle cartridge. Same idea, literally the same idea. That's why fairings look like bullets. Just saying. There's a correlation here. They both fly through the air, and they both fly through the air really freaking fast. I just like spacecraft more because they fly through the air faster. Spacecraft make bullets look like slugs. Not shotgun slugs, like the actual slug. They move very slow. Bullets are very slow compared to rockets. That thing is there to make sure that that wake doesn't change to keep the vehicle stable at all altitudes. It's very, very trick aerodynamics. This is some genius stuff from Boeing right there. I'm not even kidding. And it's funny because I see people say, "Oh, Starliner's a piece of crap." No. You don't come up with stuff like this and not know what the hell you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Yes, Starliner's taken a little while, obviously. When has Boeing ever made a human-rated spacecraft before, dudes? Never. Last time I checked. People are going to be, "Oh, but the space shuttle." That's operating a spacecraft. Rockwell made the space shuttle. And the Apollo CSM, North American, made that too. Boeing's never made a spacecraft. They make stages. They don't make spacecraft. That's why Starliner is taking so long. It's inexperience because Boeing's never made this before. Funny how that works. You need to check out the main cannon on the Abrams X-Tank. Looks like it belongs on the moon. Speaking of Starliner, I found a super cursed KSP build. Oh, no thank you. That's ridiculous. That's blurst. Did Dragon 1 count for SpaceX experience? Well, of course, while we're here, just a little bit of perspective with spacecraft here. So, let's think about this for a second. SpaceX started flying Dragon in 2010 with a boilerplate simulator. They made it to the ISS in 2012. So let's just say, I think it would be fair to say that Dragon started being designed in 2008 when SpaceX got the Orbital Transport Services contract that literally saved SpaceX, might I add. The Constellation program saved SpaceX. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, look it up. True story. So, let's say 2008. 2008 for initial design. Uncrewed missions from 2012 all the way to 2020. Right? Commercial crew contract gets awarded in 2014 to build Dragon 2. And then you get a manned flight in 2020. That's 12 years of development for a capsule to rate humans on it. Flying an uncrewed one as for gaining experience, right? That's still a long time, dudes. It's a long time. Now, if you go and ask Elon, I'm pretty sure he'd say that they designed Dragon from the start to have people on board, right? You can go back and look at tweets from 2013, 2014, where he's like, yeah, somebody could fly in this thing, no problem. They just wouldn't be able to control it, which is... Humans aren't cargo, let me put it that way. So... if you look at the overall development of Dragon, 2008 all the way to 2020 for the first crewed flight, routine missions in 2021. That's 12 to 13 years. I'll count DM1 as an operational, or DM2 as an operational mission. That's 12 years for capsule development. Now, Boeing, having no experience building capsules, and I could say that they're doing relatively routine flight, with OFT1, OFT2, right? Relatively routine uncrewed flights now, right? Their contract was awarded in 2014. And SpaceX, with prior flight experience with uncrewed Dragons, it still took them 12 years. And that's SpaceX. Boeing basically almost having Starliner operational, with the exception of some, you're getting some hiccups, and it's better to have these hiccups down here than up in space. Just saying. Better to have them down here than up there. It's taken almost 10 years. That's actually pretty fast when you think about it prospectively for Boeing, considering they've never made a crew-rated vehicle, ever. They've operated crew vehicles. Now, you want to understand the difference there. What's the difference? Well, can you drive a car? Can you build a car? Two way different things, man. Way different things. Not many people that have their license can also build automobiles. Ironically, Elon actually can. Go figure. But, I mean, he doesn't build the car, I know. I get it. But it was a joke. But yeah, think about that for a second. Next time we go dumping on Starliner, it's funny to do it. It's the meme. It's the trendy thing. I get it. But also, the fact that Boeing has been able to cook this thing up in less than a decade for any manned spacecraft is actually pretty frigging impressive when you think about it. It really is. It took SpaceX over a decade. Easily over a decade. And that's, even if you don't count the decade, it still took them 6 years from contract award to flying. But that's with prior experience from the Dragon 1 capsule. See what I'm saying? Boeing with no experience, the fact that they're even on a tenable scale that's less than a decade is actually pretty miraculous. It's just perception that Boeing is going slow. They are not going slow. They're going pretty damn quick for a legacy aerospace manufacturer. I'm not even kidding. It's pretty damn fast. Just some perspective, I suppose. People are probably going to get mad and they're probably going to disagree. It's fine. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Aqualex, yeah. Managing aerodynamics, yeah. The nose cone design is way more important than you might think. It's not just moving the air out of the way. The way the nose cone gets put together is super, super complicated. This Trident picture is actually a really, really good example. Arsenal, I was actually going to ask you that question. I'm a little bit behind on the dev diaries, but they're good. Look at that. Would you believe that that's actually more aerodynamic for the application than a pointed nose cone? General Aladdin was right. It has to be more pointy. It's not pointy enough. Is that pointy enough for you? I'm serious. Oh, yeah. Crazy, right? That's actually more aerodynamic. Dude, aero is weird, man. It's weird. There's some weird stuff going on when something moves through the air. It's a lot more... I was about to say it's a lot more complicated than everybody thinks, but there's a reason why people say it's not rocket science, right? There you go. Crazy, right? It looks like a frickin' buoy. That's the front of an ICBM. Yeah, that little pointy thing up at the top, that moves the air out of the way. It's a little bit of trick aerodynamics, just like Starliner. Very, very, very smart. That's some real hardcore, aero stuff going on. This is like Adrian Newey tier aerospace engineering. I'm not even kidding. Fluid dynamics for the whole family. Hey Jimmy, what's going on? Isn't that cool? That's what this cheese grater does. I thought it was just a stabilizer for when the thing aborts, if it has an in-flight abort. No. The skirt and the cheese grater are there to make sure that this thing always has the same wake. No matter... Now, think about that for a second. Think about how ridiculous that actually is to do. That thing flies exactly the same down here as it does up there. So, liftoff, transonic, supersonic, getting into hypersonic, through max Q, etc., flies the same. That's ridiculous. Now, for some reference, think about something like the SR-71. The SR-71 or the Concorde that had to have built-in expansion joints, right? To be able to deal with flying up there at the speeds that they flew at. The Concorde actually, when it flies, actually gets a little bit longer. It grows when it's up because it grows when it's up in the air going really, really fast, or it grew, because past tense. It still flies in my mind, I don't know why. And it actually ended up being a little bit longer when it was flying up in the air because the whole aluminum shell of the plane actually expanded because aluminum conducts heat very well. Now the SR-71 being made out of titanium, a little bit of a different story. But it still did it. Titanium still will absorb heat, right? It's actually pretty good at it. But I digress. The SR-71, when it was taking off, the fuel tanks leaked like a sieve. Because the fuel tanks were designed to work at a certain operating temperature, and they would only seal up and hold the fuel correctly, right? When it was flying up there, when it was flying through basically re-entry heat. Now think about that. Think about those design changes that you needed to make. The Concorde does not fly down here like it flies up there. Neither does the SR-71, but the Starliner does. Pretty cool, huh? It's pretty interesting stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, we're not asking the Starliner to come and land on a runway. But I can think of another vehicle that Boeing operated that does that. That beautiful bastard of a vehicle. Look at that thing. Crazy, right?
Discovery, go and
Hey,
throttle.
Kuro. It's not negligible naked, but it's something to mitigate it. It's all about what you're doing. It really depends. Now, like I said, if you look at a Starliner stack, it doesn't look like the most aerodynamic thing in the world. But that cheese grater is there to basically mitigate that effect. Pretty crazy, right? It's actually super trick engineering. That's really, really cool. Really, really cool stuff. It's, yeah, no, that's really, really freaking smart, man. Hey, S, what's going on? Check this out. Yep, yeah, you guys want to see what that missile thing does, right? Check this out. Look at that. Why have a nose cone when you can just make the nose cone? The boundary layer ends up being the nose cone right there, and this is a Schlieren image of something, Oculus Link, that is just Schlieren image of that. Why have a nose cone? Why not just have a post sticking out the front? That makes your nose cone for you. Less mass. Schlieren image is what this is called. Pretty crazy, right? Yeah, a little bit of a dive into aerodynamics there. It's cool, huh? This is why I like spaceflight so much. Don't get me wrong. If you've watched me the past couple of weeks, it's been trains and factory building. I love that stuff. Don't get me wrong. That's cooler. That's really freaking cool. Don't have a nose cone. Become the nose cone. Yeah, some crazy son of a gun actually figured this out. Like, what if we don't have a nose cone? What? What do you mean don't have a nose? What if we don't have a nose cone and we just put a post on the front? Yeah. A post? Put it in the wind tunnel. Let's do it. See? Crazy, right? NASA had a free lecture on Thursday about SLS CFD work. Cool. I don't know, Alex. We're playing KSP right now. I want to check SOI transitions, but yeah, that got into a little thing about aerodynamics there for a second, which is cool. Now, you like repeating what I say, Oculus. That's fine. Yeah, that's cool. I wish NASA would revive the shuttle, modernize it, and make an ET flyback. Oh no, come around. Yeah, see, the in-game aerodynamics didn't like that. We're gonna have to chill for a second. Here. Low the fairing. There we go. Personally, I think we are at a point where we should be seriously developing SSTOs. Yeah, you'll get a lot of people agreeing with you there, especially in here. Yeah, Hellfish knows about the Venture Star. He's one of us, dude. Trust me on that one. The videos do a much better job. They're about 5 minutes each if you get some time post-stream on a city's day. TLDR, parking, totally next-gen road and lane management, middle-density housing and mixed use, more services, modular service buildings, and much bigger map, persistent sims, it's nuts. Yeah, they really hit it out of the park from what I can tell thus far. Yeah, bucket, it's fine, dude. We're good. We're good. We just drifted a little bit off course.
Discovery, go and
Hey,
throttle.
Alex. Alex Speed. Welcome to Mission Control. You're going throttle up. Thanks, man. All right, we got to go slight radial out. That flip let off a little bit of speed. Can I send you that Lego kit of Discovery? No. I already have it, Nova. I bought it when it... Well, I didn't buy it. A viewer bought it for me when it came out. I have it. It's sitting in my house, actually. With my Saturn V and my LEM. Love your content. Always learn something. Hope your tooth is good now.
Discovery,
Yeah, it's
throttle.
coming around, dude. Like, I can feel all the stitches in there, dude. And it's kind of... It's just a weird feeling. It feels like somebody is taking a needle and going... But, yeah, it's alright. The pain is nowhere near what it was last week. I was hurting, man. I was trying to be brave about it, but yeah, I was really hurting. That hurt a lot, man. What happened to you? I didn't catch it. Jazzos, I had a molar tooth crack on me, like right down the center, cracked completely. Actually, I later learned that the crack didn't go all the way through, dudes. It went through like 50% of the tooth. It didn't crack all the way to the root, but that didn't stop the root from getting infected. I had an abscessed tooth last week, and my face swelled up like a balloon. It was not good. It was not good. Yeah, I did not have a good week last week. So, I had to get the tooth pulled at the end of last week, and basically my weekend was just me going, ah! Yeah, dude, it's not fun. Yeah, it's like taking a right hook from a heavyweight boxer, just boom, right in the face. You had pliers, Bremo could have pulled it out right quick. Dude, that hurt with anesthetic. Or Novocaine. I'm not, no. Structural failure on aft dental module, yes. Dude, seriously, terrible, terrible pain. Yeah, that flip may have doomed us, guys, we'll see. Trying to get our vertical speed positive, but the gravity is pulling us back down. Apollo Tooth Teen. Yeah. Okay, we're starting to go up, but we're losing a lot of delta V here, just hanging around in the atmosphere. Yeah, Alex, I have the tooth. Yeah, I asked the dentist to keep it. It's in my medicine cabinet next to my toothbrush and my toothpaste to remind me to brush my teeth every day. Yeah, dude. Believe me, it's enough of a shocker. Open it up and seeing that and going, oh, what the frick? Yeah, it's gross. I'm not showing it. I'm embarrassed to do that, believe it or not. After you're done watching Barbie, are you watching Oppenheimer in IMAX? Barbenheimer, yes, Boxer. This coming weekend, I'm yeah, we have the Barbenheimer combo. Yep. Yeah. Brimo wants to see Barbie, and I want to see Oppenheimer. So on Saturday, we're going back to back. Yeah. Barbie is the shot. Oppenheimer is the chaser. Barbenheimer. That's right. It's pretty funny, dude. I know, it's hilarious, Anesthesis, yeah. Tip, you have 2 cars. What? I did. What? So? Bro, that sounds awesome. Have fun. Hey, thanks. Thanks, it's Alex. What's up, dude? How you doing? Yeah, no, hopefully it's gonna be a little bit better than this weekend. This last weekend was not fun. What's up, man? How are you? Yeah, Brimo wants to see Barbie and Oppenheimer, and let's just say I want to see Oppenheimer, but I will say the Barbie movie looks kind of funny, to be honest with you. It looks kind of funny because it's supposed to be some like existential thing, and if it winds up being something like an existential movie like Fight Club or something, then that, you know what? That's gonna be really hilarious. I'm kind of in. You got me addicted to Derail Valley. That's how I'm doing. Oh, my bad. That's my bad. Have you seen the new Indiana Jones? I have no interest seeing that movie. Ever. You got a lot of us addicted to Derail Valley. Yeah, Drummer is the one that pushed for me to play that, so... The new Indiana Jones movie is pretty good. Yeah. People said that about Crystal Skull, and then it wasn't. So, I'm not going to see that in the theater. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, Knight. That's my bad. That's my bad. I didn't know this was the home of incredibly based movie takes. I'm a film snob, it's Alex. Pretty bad film snob at that. But yeah, man. There's 3 Indiana Jones movies, okay? There's 3. Raiders, Temple, Crusade. That's it. That's it. What's Crystal Skull? Fan fiction. Be nice if we did that whole get out of the atmosphere thing, but you know, it's cool. We can just chill for a little bit. Your work paid for you to see Crystal Skull. Regrets were had. Ooh. Is that a nebula in the top right? Yeah, it's supposed to look like one. That's more artistic. I don't think you could... You know what? I'm not going to say that. I was about to say I don't think you could see nebula from space, but I bet you with the right camera settings you can probably see them. You didn't even like the one with Shadow of Up. No, it's terrible. Come on around here. Alright, we're out of the atmosphere. Yeah, but we weren't talking about on Earth, so... Well, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about space. But I've never been to space. Neither of you. So, yeah. Maybe soon. Asteroid City is pretty good. Alright, right on. Well, I must return to work. Alright, Phoenix. Yep, let's see. Sorry about that. That ascent took a second because, yeah, we flipped the vehicle over. We will create maneuver plan to circularize question. Technically, we are in space. We're just protected by a massive odd. Yeah, Hellfish. I know the whole point of this. The whole point of the thing that I just made was because we weren't. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Cool. Oh, sorry, guys. Hold on. I have to deal with that. Yeah. Cool. Alright, cool. Let's go over here. Was the tooth removed yet? Yes. It's sitting in my medicine cabinet. Alright, here we go. Let's get our circ burn here and see what happens. Okay, cool. Now we're up in space. Now let's see. Let's see what we're in phase with. We have 11,000 delta V, so meters a second delta V. So let's see. Are we in phase with any? We are literally in phase with nothing. Okay. That's good. Would this design improve with maneuvering thrusters on the main rocket section? There's thrusters back here. There's thrusters front and back of the ball. Yeah, we were in phase with nothing. That's cool. Alright. You know what? Here's what we do. Let's go into a heliocentric orbit. Actually, that ejection angle is bad. We want an ejection angle like this. Let's go over here. I doubt we're going to be in any type of window to get to Eve here, but we'll see. Yeah. Okay, bi-elliptical transfer it is. All right, let's do this. Oh, there were thrusters back here on an older version. I guess there wasn't. Oh, they're there. Why? Wait, why aren't they working? Oh, those are liquid fuel thrusters. Okay, I got it. Those are verniers back there. That's why they aren't working. We ran out. Oops. We went too early. It's fine. Looks like SpaceX is testing their massive rocket bidet already. Cool. I'm putting ourselves into a solar orbit, and then we'll line up a transfer burn somewhere. Just want to see if these trajectories are working correctly. We do have an Eve landing vehicle, if I'm looking in here correctly. Yeah, it's my Eve lander. I saw the Subaru, Tessa. That's cool. Yeah, the one that Travis Pastrana used in Goodwood. That's, yeah, the Subaru thing. Pretty sweet. Marvin. I don't get why the nuclear engine really likes to gimbal lock. It seems... I'm not sure if it's a control point being wrong or what, but for some reason, whenever we're using the nuclear engine, I always need RCS to get it to go straight. But that could just be that... It could just be that this craft is an old design. I found that with the recent hotfixes, a lot of the crafts aren't really working. Alright, there we go. That's fine. Let's try to, let's wait till we're in phase with something. Okay, I know I'm losing communication with something. That needs to stop. This needs to stop immediately. That's ridiculous. I'm not really a fan of that. Okay, we're not exactly in phase here, so because we don't have the right setup. But I'll circularize us here, and yeah, we'll go from there. When some of the issues are ironed out, think we could set up faux Sun Kerbal L14 stations. Yeah, maybe. Any thought about Ricardo coming back to F1? DeVry must have really sucked, Alexis, if they just kind of said, nah, screw you, go away. Like, was he really that freaking bad that they were like, no. I think it's more that he wanted out of the Red Bull ecosystem. Yeah, for what? For what, a freaking bench seat? You know, because if you're a race car driver, that's what race car drivers want to do. They want to watch from the sidelines. I'm circularizing here. We'll get to Eve. We're kind of doing a sloppy bi-elliptical transfer here. Alexis, I'm really starting to wonder if Mick wasn't the problem with Haas, because Hulkenberg doesn't seem to be doing any better. But people don't want to hear that. So, hey, Play, what's going on, man? 40-month resub, appreciate it. All right, let's get in, make sure we're targeting Eve. What is this? What's going on here? Hulk is really clean so far. Oh, yeah, really clean. Yeah, very clean for the back of the grid. Alright, hang on. Let's get this maneuver dialed in. Yeah, we gotta go radial out. Get those points a little bit closer to each other. There we go. Alright. This is, once again, not the most efficient way to do this, but it'll work. How's the whole face hole feeling? Starting to get a little bit of a headache, but it's okay. I'm drinking water to see if I'm dehydrated first. What's the mission objective for this craft? I'm testing interplanetary trajectories because supposedly they're fixed. Beer will cure it. Oh, yeah. Farm, I haven't had a beer since, like, last Monday, dude, because it screws with the antibiotics. It makes the antibiotics not work as good, which is really annoying. So yeah, I just have all this beer in my fridge. I'm just like, this is fine. Hey, did you guys know that I lost connection with the craft here? I don't know if you guys know.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Hey, Nova, give to the sub to farm. Thank you. Did you see the Unleashing the Power of the Mars Cycler SpaceX Starship to play a huge part by Marcus House? No, I know Marcus though. Marcus is a good dude. I never met him in real life, but yeah, no, he's cool. I haven't watched that video, Journey, and I'll be 100% honest with you, and this is personal opinion. I don't think cycler orbits are useful. What? There, I said it. I don't think that's useful at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, if you set up enough infrastructure, yeah, then it becomes useful, but that's literally the case with any type of interplanetary architecture. Cyclers are just one way to do it. And it's not necessarily the worst way, but yeah, let me put it to you this way. I mean, the physics are inalienable. Like, obviously, Buzz Aldrin knows more about this than I do, right? But cycler orbits are one of those things that just don't inspire joy in my heart. I'm like, that's, alright. That's kind of cool, I guess. So, like I said, very much personal opinion, you know? Is Viasat 3 a total loss or any potential for satellite repair? With what, Sile? What are we going to use to repair it? It'd be nice if we had something like that. But yeah, if it's a total loss, we're pretty screwed. That's not good. A $420 million insurance payout, it would be devastatingly bad for the satellite launching industry. Like Great Depression tier bad. I lost control, lost contact with something that I'm not even controlling. That's good. Yeah, the space insurance market will not be doing very good. That's awful, Farm. My condolences, buddy. Yeah, it's a little bit different than the what that maneuver planner was telling me a second ago. That's nice. Now keep in mind, I'm not gonna say that I'm not really paying attention, but like, because I am talking with you guys, but this shouldn't be this, like, I think that I want to chalk that one up to me not paying attention, but also I mean, I did X out of the maneuver node, and I usually do that so I can see my upgraded trajectory. so I could see it clearer. I did the same thing in Kerbal 1, but it's very clear that either I missed a big detail or that maneuver node wasn't exactly right. Aqualex, I don't really need an explanation for how a cycler works. I understand that. But you still need a gigantic rocket to get to it anyway. Why not just use gigantic rocket to get to Mars? But yeah, it's I get it. Just I don't think cyclers are necessarily the right way to do that. That's still, yeah, I mean, you're still subject to a transfer window. So you're building a, yeah, I mean, this gigantic floating space station out there on a cycler would be great for infrastructure. That's not saying I don't agree with that. It's just that's like saying we're going to build a giant port in the middle of the Pacific because the middle of the Pacific is a whirlpool. So all the container ships will go to that, and then we have a huge, gigantic dock in the middle of the Pacific Ocean that just floats around, right? And then it just lets off cargo anytime it gets, because it's the whole Pacific whirlpool. We'll just offload cargo because we're kind of near the United States, or offload cargo because we're kind of near China. It just, all right. Why not just send a cruise ship directly across? Or a container ship, you know what I mean? Hey Pasquale, what's going on? How's the patch? Is the game more playable? It's getting there, dude. Yeah, better than it was. Better than it was, that's for sure. I disagree, Tessa. I think having highly efficient low thrust drives, like a container ship for space, container ships don't go fast. Maybe 15, 20 knots? That's slow. That's really slow. They don't go too incredibly quick. Actually, like 15 knots for a container ship, if I'm recalling right, is very slow. Or that's very fast, excuse me. That's slow compared to other things, right? Why not have insanely high specific impulse drives like an ion drive, coupled to like a nuclear power attachment that's really, really efficient but really, really low thrust? And then you could basically do exactly what I'm doing right now. It totally negates the need for a cycler orbit. I mean, you're basically sending up a supply chain to Mars, and the ships are on their transfer trajectories, right? And you'll be able to basically get to Mars at any time because the drives have insanely high delta V because they're super freaking efficient, like a container ship. How far off mission mode on KSP do you think we are? I don't ish. We're a good ways off, dude. A good ways off. Accelerate halfway and decelerate halfway. That's right, James. Yeah, exactly. But see, the thing is that you don't, with a high delta V or high specific impulse low thrust ship application. It's basically a space container ship. With that, you're not subject to transfer windows, meaning you can get to Mars at any time. Some transfer windows will take longer than others, but because you have insanely high delta V, you can really, really accelerate. Think Kraken drives. The Kraken drive that we made in KSP1, think something like that, but something that doesn't accelerate very much. Not certainly at like 20 positive Gs like what we did with the Kraken drive. Think a Kraken drive that accelerates at 1 meters a second per second, right? You'll be able to get anywhere, anytime. It won't take very long. Like some transfers, you'll have to go faster than others. Some transfers will be less efficient than others. But if we were able to come up with some type of ion, like electric propulsion drive that's coupled to a nuclear reactor, then you don't need to worry about that problem. You have insane amounts of delta V. I think that is a much better application, but that's just me. Hey, Desecray, 42-month resub. Because you don't need to lift a huge transfer vehicle with a big hab every time, just cargo and a small crew compartment. my cargo ships are not taking off and landing from the surface of Mars or Earth. They stay in low Earth orbit and low lunar or low Martian orbit. Yeah. It's called slow steaming, and it has to do with fuel prices. Container ships can reach 23 knots. 23 knots is still slow for a ship. Like an aircraft carrier can go way faster than that. I mean, but then again, that's military. Military stuff tends to go faster. But Chief, that's the idea. The point is that 23 knots is not very fast for, like, covering the surface of Earth, for instance, right? Alright, so I'm going to drop a quick save here, and I'm going to go here, and we're going to warp and see if the conic saves itself. Yeah, there you go, Navy Vet. Yep. Yeah, that's what I figured. Seems like it steps in the right direction. They're working on it, dude. It's getting better. But did you see that? I just passed right through the point where I told it to stop. Because I think it's clicking on my trajectory post-SOI transfer. I think that's what's going on. So, like, let's go over here, focus on Eve, and that is a terrible... Can we... I can't click on my trajectory here, can I? Alright. Hey, Envy. Hey Darius, things are going all right, man. How are you? Things are very fast for merchant vessels. Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. You're right, dude. Yeah, you're right, but you're missing the. Comparing it to other vessels wasn't the right way to say that, Chief. What I'm saying is compare that to like an airplane or something. Point is, it's going to take a couple weeks to get across the Pacific. That's what I'm talking about. It's very efficient for what it is. 23 knots is not fast. How many knots does an airplane go? See what I'm talking about? That's a better example rather than comparing it to a military ship, you know? I probably should have thought about that, but I'm also trying to watch this and make sure that this works correctly.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
I'm going to turn on infinite electricity and infinite propellant just for now. To be honest, was the 3D element, I haven't looked at it, dude. I lost track of that conversation. And thanks for the 63 months. I'll check them out in a little bit, okay? Big test on NSF Live. It's worth a rewind. Okay, then please don't look. Save yourself the headache. Jeffrey, revive ad time. Okay, well, there you go. You got it. You got your ad time. I mean, element. Now I'm gonna look at it. You know, you understand this, right? Where on Discord can I recommend a YouTube channel on aircraft safety I find fascinating? Blanco Lirio? It's so terrible. I'll have to look. Let me wait till this burn's done. Yeah, that's a great channel. Juan Brown's a pretty awesome dude. I learned a lot about aircraft safety from that channel. And if that's the one you're talking about, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one you're talking about. That guy's awesome. No, not that one.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Put it in the aerospace channel, dude. There's a channel for planes. Also, FYI, the max speed of very big tanker ships is between 12 and 15 knots. Yeah, cool. Mentor pilot. Yeah, there should be an aerospace channel floating around somewhere over there. Yeah, aerospace and science would probably be a good bet. Hey, Battle no skilo. 11-month resub. Thank you. Guys, except for that weird click-through through Time Warp, the conics seem to be working just fine. So that's good. They're not skipping around. We've had some weird things here and there, but for the most part, this is, yeah, working. NASA spaceflight. Wow, OLM water deluge system conducts its first full test. Let's look at that, I guess. What's the mission? I'm testing out conics, Battle. Actually, it's right there, but we'll just look at the replay. So this is coming from Chris B. So they tested the water deluge system. Let's see. Headphone users, this could get loud. Headphone users, I'm playing the video in 10 seconds. Yeah, it's not bad. I stand corrected. That's pretty loud. Man, that thing. Here, hold on. I'm turning it up. Headphone users again. Now that's what I call high quality H2O. And God parted the seas. Wasn't that Moses that did that? Just saying. Yeah, Darius, that's what I call high quality H2O, am I right?
Discovery, go and throttle up.
80-month resub. Did they filter that water? I would really hope that that's fresh water, farmer. Putting salt water through that, it's probably not good for it. I think it's non-potable fresh water, dude. So is this water being pumped by big pumps or is it pressure fed? Oh, good question, Starry. This is what's called a gas purged sound suppressor. Damn it, Scott. Gas purged sound suppressor is what it's called. Are you familiar with a squirt gun? Like a super soaker. Like you pump it up, you make a lot of pneumatic pressure, right? You fill an air tank, and then when you pull the trigger, the air tank opens up and goes into a water tank. The air pressurizes, and when it pressurizes to a certain pressure, it'll shoot the water out of the super soaker. Pretty straightforward stuff. Fun fact, the guy that invented the super soaker was a NASA scientist. Fun fact. I mean, where do you think he got the idea? I'm pretty sure that guy worked on pads too, if I understand that right. So, You're basically geysering the water. There are nitrogen tanks that they pump the nitrogen tanks into the water tanks. The nitrogen pressurizes and forces the water out, and the water pipes go right to the pad. Yep. It's literally a big super soaker. Yeah, never really put two and two together. Seriously, the guy that patented the original design for a super soaker was a NASA scientist. I forget the dude's name. I wonder if he worked on sound suppressor systems. Hold on. A little bit of a deep dive. So Lonnie Johnson is the guy's name. Let's see. Lonnie Johnson is an American inventor, aerospace engineer, and entrepreneur. His work includes Air Force Term of Service, 12-year stint at NASA, where he worked at JPL. He invented the Super Soaker in 1989, which has been one of the best-selling toys ever since. All right. He has a bachelor's in mechanical engineering and a master's in nuclear engineering. My boy's wicked smart right here. He also holds a PhD from Tuskegee University, then worked with the Air Force. Career during his time at NASA, he worked on a variety of projects, including Air Force Missions Lab, developing nuclear power sources for the Galileo mission to Jupiter. Oh, dude, he worked with RTGs. Cool. Several weapons-related projects, as well as an engineer on the Mariner Mark II spacecraft series for Comet Rendezvous and Saturn orbit probe missions. He also worked on a stealth bomber program. Yeah, but we didn't see that though. Sorry. Johnson first conceived the Super Soaker while doing work with the U.S. Air Force, initially called the Power Drencher. When it first appeared in toy shops in 1990, it eventually got its trademark after some tweaks and remarketing. Selling between 10 and 60, depending on the model, the Super Soaker took off, generating $200 million in sales. Shortly after making the deal for the Super Soaker with Laramie Corporation, Laramie became a subsidiary of Hasbro in February 1995. I had a Laramie Super Soaker. Cool, man. Now, it doesn't seem like he worked on sound suppressor systems unless there was a classified project that he worked on with sound suppressors. But yeah, it's literally a gas purge sound suppressor. That's what a Super Soaker is. It's just it's using pneumatics to move fluid around. Hydropneumatic. That's exactly what's going on here. This is a big Super Soaker. That's pretty rad. You designed Nerf guns too? Cool. You're mistaken. Thank you, Willie. If I had a dime for every time somebody said that. Yeah, Aqualex, that's probably right, dude. So if you had to guess, will that explosion of water happen right as the engines ignite? It'll probably, yeah, Jax, probably happen a couple seconds before it, dude. How is it getting over here? What do you mean, Cat? Many bugs? No, just there's a couple of click-through things in the UI that I found, but the conics are working just fine. Yeah, everything seems to be working just fine. I did turn on infinite propellant and infinite electricity, but those aren't kind of needed for this kind of test. I'm testing to make sure SOI transitions are working correctly. I didn't know how much of the suppression was caused by the initial explosion of water versus the flow of it thereafter. I mean, Jax, you gotta put the water up so the water, you gotta get the water up in the air, so to speak, before the heat from the so like when you fire the rocket engine, right? the heat can get immediately absorbed by the water. This is why sound suppressors and pad deluge systems usually turn on sometimes a couple seconds before launch. Now, keep in mind, I want to point out the difference here between a deluge system and a deluge system and a sound suppressor. The deluge system is usually below the pad, and the sound suppressors are above the pad. So, like, if you think of like where the rocket is attached as kind of like a table, right? Deluge systems are below pad level. Sound suppressors are above. That's the difference. Now, don't get me wrong. You can have deluge systems, and you can have deluge systems that do end up going above the deck, but for the most part, in like rocket nomenclature, if you say sound suppressor, that's on the deck of the pad to prevent sound reverberating off the deck. So, like, SpaceX has 4 of them on either sides of Falcon 9, and they usually activate right before the rocket launches, along with the deluge system below. The deluge system out the bottom is basically designed to protect the pad. It's designed to protect the flame bucket from not getting melted because it's got rocket engines shooting into it. Now, interesting thing here about pads. Test stands are not launch pads, right? Obviously, if you know a little bit about rockets, where they test the rocket engines is not where they launch the rocket. Where they test rockets is not where they launch them, right? Pretty straightforward stuff. A rocket launch pad cannot withstand a full duration burn. So if they lit the rocket off and just held it there, it would destroy the pad. Kind of what Starship did, but different story. That's with inadequate deluge and sound suppressors, but I digress. It would do that. It would start destroying the pad. The reason test stands basically have a much higher capacity water system, so they can deliver way more water over a longer period of time to basically keep the flame trench or the flame bucket on a test stand from melting. Regular launch pads are only designed to do that for a couple of seconds. That's why you don't see like full duration burns happening on launch pads, for instance. That's why SpaceX does static fires on launch pads instead. Right? Does that make sense? They're different. Test stands are designed to withstand, I mean, obviously they're not designed to launch the stupid rocket either. You don't want to launch off the test stand. The Russians did that. The Soviets did that with Buran, not Buran. They did that with Energia Polius. And yeah, it destroyed, didn't really work very well, but that's another story. What are conics? Conics are the path that the spacecraft, your projected path of spacecraft. Yeah. All right. Let's just get this closer. And once again, I'm using infinite propellant with our nuclear ball right now. Let's get rid of that. Warp to up here. Create maneuver plan. Just gonna get us nice and circular for a transfer burn to somewhere else and see if, and then we'll time warp through that transfer to see if it fixes the damn thing. Okay.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Hey Kinder, 78 months. Thanks, man. I don't know if they fixed decaying orbits, but yeah, Linfa, there you go. Yeah, Napsmore, that's a better geometric definition, dude. In the application of Kerbal, it's basically where your spacecraft's going. basically taking a big left turn. This is, I'd like to point out, this is very inefficient from a Delta V standpoint, what we're doing, but I'm brute forcing it because I have infinite prop on. The background might be illustrative. Yeah, Naps, for sure, for sure. I got you, man. It's all good. How's the game coming along? That's what I'm kind of looking for right now, Hypersonic. It seems to be okay. It doesn't play nice with craft files from older versions of KSP. That's what I've been finding. But this seems alright. Yeah, we're just checking in here. I want to see what happens. Yeah, something like that, Hypersonic. Yeah. That's my guess, that they did change the hierarchy. I mean, another viewer, Ishiku, is a good buddy of mine. He likes trains too. He asked, like, is it ready for mission mode? Nah. I only really started doing mission mode stuff with... You gotta remember, fellas, I only really started doing mission mode stuff with KSP 1 when I knew that most of... Not new, but when I figured that there wouldn't be any, like, major changes to the game in the future. Does that make sense? Like, I knew they wouldn't redo the arrow or something. I knew they wouldn't change, like, the thermals or anything. Once that was kind of figured out, like, by around 1.2, when I knew that Kerbal was more or less stable, like, they wouldn't do anything crazy like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't know for sure. I kind of took a gamble. That's when I was like, oh, alright, cool. We're good. You know, and that's when I knew a mission mode style thing could work, when we figured out that... So... I knew it could work when we figured out that Kerbal's simulation was absurdly consistent. I remember I got hung up on this because I was like, there's no way to reuse spacecraft because they keep drifting out of control. So we went on a dive. I don't know when we did it. I don't remember. It was a long 2018, maybe 2019. We went on a dive to try and figure out, you know, like basically drifting, hydraulic drift, what causes it, etc., etc. And we basically figured out while I was building pads. It was Condor's pad, if anybody remembers that my Falcon 9 style vehicle. We ended up figuring out when that vehicle was built that Kerbal 1's simulation stays absurdly consistent if you never quick load. Ever. Never quick load, never revert. The drift on the parts is very, very consistent. So, like, if I launch one Condor 9 off the pad and I do everything the exact same way, launch it, bring it back down, land the thing, folded the vehicle up, right? Reassembled it the exact same way that the first one that I launched was assembled with a reused booster, did the exact same thing, launched it again, it would work. Now, that eventually parts wear out in Kerbal 1, which is interesting. They do bend, they do flex over time. So eventually, say some parts on that booster started bending, right? We'd put it over here. If I took another booster and did the exact same thing, launched it, landed it, did the exact same thing in the exact same order, the parts drift exactly the same. Pretty interesting. They do the exact same thing. Kerbal 1's simulation, as long as you never revert in quick load, quick load is absurdly consistent. Parts will drift the same way every time if you do the same thing every time. That's really good considering it uses float, right? That's really nice. Really, really useful. How's the patch? It's okay, man. Yeah, it seems pretty solid. Definitely a step in the right direction. I have one of my nuclear balls out here, testing out conics and stuff, because that was the big thing with the hot fix. Yep. So, Hypersonic, I'm not entirely sure that KSP2 is up to snuff for that, but maybe we can do the weekly challenge from this week, because that kind of calls for doing stuff like that, you know? The weekly challenge calls for making a vertical takeoff horizontal landing vehicle, so maybe we can fiddle around with it. I don't think it's up to KSP1's consistency just yet with the physics simulation, because they're still dialing it in. So shuttle time. Creeper, I'm not sure I want to get that detailed in any particular type of build. The reason why is because there's no re-entry in the game. I don't want to dial in a shuttle build to get it to be built right, and then when re-entry comes in the game, it doesn't work. I haven't watched the Cities 2 vid today, Boxy. It's been linked, though. I haven't. Do you think the weekly challenges are helping the developers devs figure features for KSP2, or is it just for fun? There is a rhyme and reason to them, Nova, but what that rhyme and reason is remains to be seen. Or just slap one together now, then once they add re-entry, do a proper shuttle build. But how is that different than what I said? I just said that. Basically, this weekend challenge is prime for figuring out features of reusability. Yeah. Yeah, Hypersonic, that sounds right.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Okay, yeah. Maneuver nodes and conics and everything seem to be working just fine, guys. Hey, Momblan, 20-month resub. Thank you. Everything seems to be working
Discovery,
good here.
go and throttle up.
Miles, 54 months. At a 1 in front mentally. 154? Yeah, nice, nice. Are struts in yet? Struts have been in since the game came out, Fred. They're right there. See them? The game is perpetually highlighting them, and I can't unhighlight them. Auto struts. No, there's no auto strutting. The developers had a blog. Nate had a blog post a little while ago that basically said that they want to keep wobbly physics in the game, and the community did not like that, from what I could tell. They said that being wobbly is part of KSP's DNA, and well, I don't generally disagree with them, but everybody's like, no, it can't be wobbly, it can't be wobbly. Or, well, let's say a lot of people that were vocal about this said that. And, you know, like, that's fair, but, you know, when I have a spacecraft that wobbles around or a rocket that wobbles around, I try to figure out why it's wobbling around and then strut it so it doesn't wobble around. But then again, I have the beauty of being able to launch a high part count ship and it doesn't really screw with the computer. I can see how somebody that has a lower spec operating system wouldn't like that, having to just strut everything together, but is being wobbly more space simulator like? Rockets wobble all the time in real life, Smelly. They wobble all the time, dude. Here, I'll show you. Happens a lot more often than you might think. Look. So this is the footage from the Artemis 1 launch. Okay? Whose channel is this? Is this... No, that's not NASA.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
I'm trying to find NASA NASA's footage of it, but this works. People are just re-uploading the footage right off of NASA TV. Nope, that's not the right footage. This is the right footage, but yeah, let's see. Metric 65-month resub. See? Look. See what I'm talking about? Real rockets wobble all the time, dude. It happens. But once the aerodynamic pressure builds up, it seats the thing correctly. They wobble a lot more than you might think. Doesn't look like it, but they do wobble. That absolutely happens. Maybe not as bad as KSP, but I'm sure if you induced the oscillated control that you get from KSP's guidance systems into a real rocket, it probably would wobble like crazy. It still amazes me you would think. Yeah, well, see, wobbles all the time, dude. Happens. Oh yeah. There's always a little bit of play, a little bit of longitudinal oscillation built into a rocket's design to resist wind. To resist wind shear. Somebody said it, like a skyscraper. Same idea. I mean, what is it but a skyscraper being launched into space? Has to be aerodynamic. In more ways than one. It's mostly aerodynamic this way, but it is also a little aerodynamic this way. Yeah. Happens, man. Here. There's a documentary called Ascent by NASA. And it's a commemoration to all the high-def cameras, or high, I say high definition, some of them are film, but that you know, same idea. Here. This is all the engineering cameras that they use to review every shuttle launch to make sure that nothing really went wrong. Now, watch, during engine ignition here. This is looking up, basically, the business end of the space shuttle. This is the synchronization clock over here. But watch the rocket engines when they throttle up. Watch particularly this one. This one is going to be the easiest to see. So when the engines are turning on right now, right? And there's going to be oscillations that get introduced on the nozzle due to flow separation at lower throttles. This is part of the reason why throttling rocket engines is not like KSP, where you have real-time control over the throttle. Real rocket engines don't work like that. Watch what happens when the rocket engine is getting up to throttle. Watch the nozzle. So, getting going here. Look. Watch over here. See that? Real rockets wobble. Absolutely. All the time. You just don't see it. Sometimes it happens too fast for our eye to see it, but they definitely do. Yeah, this isn't made out of rubber or something, guys. That's Inconel. Inconel and aluminum and a bunch of other fun stuff. It wobbles. Oh, yeah. And yes, also, Rev, what you said, making the control system not wobble out of control in Kerbal is actually really hard. The control systems will be designed for the thing being control. A generic control system without tuning it is almost certain to become unstable for some systems. Bingo. Yeah, the PIDs are one-size-fits-all. The PID for the SAS oscillation and compensation in Kerbal and the probe core, I mean, it really is dependent on probe core torque, how much your PID is going to oscillate with the rates, right? What's rate oscillation? Like, it's the same guidance system for every single vehicle in KSP, for the most part, because every single vehicle has the same SAS. Guidance systems, for the most part, guys, are tailor-made to every rocket because every rocket flies a little bit different. Now, there is commonality between avionics, but think about it like this. If you and I buy the same laptop, right, and I want to use the laptop for... You use the laptop for writing code, and I use it for making 3D models. The configuration, the software that we're going to put on there is going to be very different. That doesn't mean it won't piggyback off of an operating system, right? You know, if you're writing code, you're going to have a compiler or something. I'm going to have a CAD program, right? Think of it like that. There is commonality between avionics components. Now, I'll give you a good example. The Space Shuttle and the B-1B Lancer, which is an American bomber, And the space shuttle's not a bomber. The space shuttle's obviously the space shuttle. They're both made by Rockwell, and they share a lot of similar avionic components. Does that mean if I take the computers out of a B-1 and put it in the space shuttle that it's going to fly correctly? Nope, probably not. Because they were tailored. One's tailored for the space shuttle, the other's tailored for a thing that doesn't fly into space. That's a pretty big difference there. But yeah, that's a good point, Rev. Mm-hmm. So what are PIDs, just in case anybody's wondering? PIDs, dudes, are... So, okay, if I take the spacecraft and we start moving it around, you see these things right here? These are your rate indicators. This indicates basically what the computer is, or what your controlled input is doing, where your inputs are. You're increasing the rate of rotation in degrees radian, if I'm remembering correctly. You know, I can tell, you could tell basically what the spacecraft is doing just by watching these. That's why in KSP-1 I have the Aero UI up. I'm not necessarily looking at max Q, I'm not looking at anything else, but I have the Aero UI up to watch the rates on the vehicle. To see if it's moving in one direction or another. See if it's moving left, see if it's moving right. If I want the vehicle to fly in a straight line, your yaw, pitch, and roll rotational rates should be 0, right? Or something very, very close to 0. And even if it veers off a little bit here and there, the SAS should compensate it. PIDs are what basically set how much it compensates for and how far it's going to overcorrect. That's what a PID is in what's called control systems. This is systems, and well, not necessarily systems engineering now, but controls engineering would be what it's called. PIDs are used all over the place in modern manufacturing. Basically, if I have the vehicle that's flying through space and I want to turn it, or we want to yaw 90 degrees to the right, and I tell it to yaw 90 degrees to the right, the computer is going to take my input and it's going to start rotating us, right? And basically I'm telling it to turn 90 degrees to the right. The computer will take it and it'll figure out a way to average out that system to make sure that we basically stop at 90, right? And there might be a little bit of overcompensation back and forth. Now, depending on how you tweak your PID, right, it could potentially overcompensate, it could shoot back, it could just do this. You can enter feedback loops with PIDs where they overcompensate. I'm sure you've seen this in KSP before. If you're any KSP player and you put the SAS on and your vehicle starts doing this. Because there's one size fits all for the PIDs, it starts oscillating like crazy. It overcompensates, and it enters a feedback loop that's similar to pilot-induced oscillation. Does that make sense? Has this been linked yet? Yeah, Penta, it has. Can you do that with the arm faster, please? And that's all you got out of that? Just move your arm faster? All right, cool. Thanks for letting me know that I'm not just talking to a wall, Cooley. Appreciate it. Thanks for letting me know, man. Could Elon Musk... What is that, little Sebastian? Could Elon Musk supply somebody with a retro rocket bridge that could go up every time it got hit? No. So yeah, PIDs need to be calibrated for every spacecraft because the space shuttle's not going to fly through space the exact same way as like a Starliner capsule or a Dragon capsule would. With Kerbal, you have one avionics package and one size fits all because it would be that would be a weird gameplay mechanic to try and tweak avionics. First of all, I have no idea how you're going to convey that to the average player, right? Second of all, there are other ways to get around that by using RCS or SAS to basically dampen out the PID, which is what I usually do with KSP. That's what I do. It would be nice if the SAS could be calibrated, but calibrating a PID is very complicated. Yeah, Rev. With aircraft in KSP-1, I'll use angle of deflection on elevators and ailerons and stuff. Elevators, ailerons, and rudder. I'll use angle of deflection for that. I find that if your control surfaces have too much deflection, they induce too much moment and the SAS overcompensates. Which is part of the reason why I don't like flying planes in KSP-1 with the SAS on. I'd rather trim the plane out. I'd rather design the plane with trim tabs into the system by default, so you never have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about the SAS overcompensating. If the plane flies fine, just trimming it out, right? Basically limiting the windup of the integral. Bingo. Yeah, you got it, man. Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah, conics seem to be working just fine, dudes. I'm actually pretty happy with this. Interplanetary missions are working pretty well. So, Rev, like on an airplane, I would have my SAS control surfaces, right? And then I'd have the trim control surfaces. Like, I make it so you could do either one, but usually I fly in KSP1 via trim. Much easier. But yeah, I think that a tweakable PID or tweakable avionics packages would be taking KSP to a level that really shies away from what makes KSP a good entry-level game for understanding spacecraft flight and whatnot. Yeah, I think that would be best off. I think that would be better left to modders, to be honest with you. Also, aero control surface in KSP have slowed deflection speed, which induces delay. Yeah. Your rate of deflection, Starry, on control surfaces is very limited, right? Exactly. I mean, that in itself is its own PID, dude. Nowadays, like on a modern control surfaces on a fly-by-wire airplane, yeah, the rate of deflection, or the rate of deflection increase on a control surface, yeah, that's all tied into a PID. Because, honestly, guys, with control surfaces, if you had control surfaces that just deployed willy-nilly like that, so first of all, you're going to break your hydraulic system doing that, hydraulically shocking the system, right? That's probably not good for it. Second of all, if you just did this, a plane, like say you just pulled up on the joystick, right? And you put your control surfaces like this. Guess what? If they deploy to a crazy angle of deflection too quickly, right? Your plane will start going up and then it'll just basically do this. Why? Because when you get past a certain angle of deflection, it's a speed brake, not a control surface. You're basically just deploying the brakes, so the plane would start to go up and then it would just That happens in KSP. If you tell your control surface to deflect too much, it's basically going to slow you down and not change your direction. Fun fact. Yeah, basically, animal, yeah. You probably break something. It's my entire area of control theory study. Sure, you can play with it and maybe get a feel for it, but outside of some rough heuristic methods, it's very difficult to choose proper coefficients, even if you have an accurate system model. Bingo. Yeah, Rev, you got it, dude. Rev, I got to the point where I would be very careful about tweaking the rates on stuff, because I was building control systems in KSP1. Here, I'll show you. I was building control systems in KSP1 for launch pads. Now, don't get me wrong, it was still me controlling it, but we did get to a point where I was using Python and KRPC to have software-controlled vehicles in KSP1, which you can do, which is actually really cool. But I did get to the point where I was building pads, and I really had to be cognizant of the rates. Why did I need to be cognizant of the rates? Because guess what? If your rocket isn't pointing straight up and you go to launch it, bad stuff happens. As Tim Dodd, the everyday astronaut, says, you gotta be pointy end up, flamey end down. So, say for instance, if I went to move my entire vehicle vertical, right, with my pad, right, and say my launch table didn't set right on my launch pad, and the rocket is kind of bending this way a little bit, you go to launch it like that, it's just going to go into the ground. It'll just do this. Why? Well, you know the reason. I'm pretty sure, Rev. You're basically what's the right word? You're inducing a cosine loss of thrust at engine ignition. That basically means that if your rocket's bent this way, some of the rocket thrust is going to make you go this way, and some of it's going to make you go up. And if some of it's going to make you go that way, right? Eventually, the whole vehicle on its longitudinal axis will get more tangent to gravitational pull, and grav loss will do its thing, and you'll get Proton from 2013. If anybody remembers that. But yeah, I really, really got interested in rates when I was trying to build launch pads and stuff in KSP1, which I kind of want to go back to doing. But yeah, see, here, check it out. Launch pads. Does that make sense? Yeah, see, literally trying to build a launch pad in KSP and bringing a rocket horizontal to vertical is much more complicated than you might think. Now, keep in mind, we have to deal with dynamic mass because I don't move the vehicle when it's fully fueled into the vertical position, right? So you have to, not only do you have to deal with the deflection that happens from moving it vertical and making sure that it seats correctly, right? But you also have to take into account your dynamic load shift when you fuel the vehicle up. If you fuel it, right, and your attachment point is on the side, the vehicle's going to bend down this way anyway. I got to the point where we were engineering vehicles, right, that basically had little to no deflection through a dynamic mass change, basically fueling. If you look at the rates right there at liftoff, that's actually not bad. Really not bad at all. You go that way, I'll go home. But yeah, it's cool to talk about that stuff. Guidance systems and rates and control systems are very, very interesting. Really cool stuff. I don't see why not, Aqualux. You could. But I find other ways of doing that inside of the game. But yeah. You wouldn't be able to lift a fully fueled rocket in KSV-1 unless it was a small boy launcher. Depends on what it is, Panta, but yeah, for the most part, that would be a really, really difficult challenge. It's the same reason why they don't do that in real life. That and moving around something that has enough impulsive energy to cause a nice thermobaric explosion is probably not a good thing when you have a bunch of people around the rocket. Hey, Calstar. How's it going? It's going all right. But yeah, see the rates, Rev? 0.38 degrees a second radian at liftoff is not bad for pitch axis. That's really good. And I got it to the point where the SAS would basically compensate right at liftoff. And that's not the only thing that we made. That's just a small rocket. We got into making much bigger things down the road. Like, see, same thing. Look at that one. That's the Freedom 7 rocket. Check that one out. 89.7, 0.13 degrees a second radian. 0.22 degrees a second, I forget what the A is. But yeah, that's nothing. That's basically going straight up. But yeah, learning about rates and stuff really, really helped kind of... It really, really kind of puts into perspective what it takes to get one of these things up into space. And then, you know, you get into inertial guidance and stuff like that, and it's fascinating stuff. Yeah, see? Little reusable shuttles. That thing actually killed Jeb, so, you know, that's good. Yeah, there was finite element analysis on chained hydraulics here. See, they drift over time. They bend and flex. Parts fatigue. The joints fatigue in Kerbal. Who knew? Well, we do, because we figured it out. I do kind of want to go revisit Dart, Panta, to be honest. I really do. I know what needs to be fixed to make a small shuttle like that. But yeah, see, we even had fueling depots, tank farms, launch pedestals, gantry cranes, transport vehicles. I built the whole freaking shebang-a-bang, man. Remake Dart in KSP2? That's not a bad idea. Dart had bad pitching moment, guys. Speaking of rates. Dart had bad pitching moment. Basically, it was trying too hard to be an ICBM and go nose cone first when I didn't want it to go nose cone first. The reason is because our center lift, center of mass relationship wasn't lined up, particularly in hypersonic and supersonic regimes. It flies okay when you're down there, but these control surfaces weren't enough. They didn't generate enough moment to be able to bring the nose up during re-entry. That's something that the space shuttle does. But the space shuttle uses RCS to do that during re-entry. not necessarily control surfaces. So now we're coming into RCS moment, right? You don't want your RCS being the only thing that allows your vehicle to fly nose up during re-entry. The reason why is because, well, RCS is a finite resource. The RCS should be used for course correction. You don't necessarily use control surfaces to get your plane to fly straight. That's what a trim tab is for. And that's the reason why the shuttle has a body flap down here and a speed brake. Those are basically there to trim out your rates. The RCS is used to change course and do the S-turns. You don't use the RCS in Kerbal, you don't use RCS to get the thing to fly correctly. Because what happens when the moment of the vehicle exceeds the moment of the reaction control systems? Basically, if you dip too far too fast, the moment of the vehicle will cause this thing to screw up, it'll cause it to nose down, right? And then the vehicle's out of control. You gimbal lock your control systems. Bad idea. Gimbal lock is very bad. You don't want that. Hey, Ice King, thanks for the raid. Dang, I didn't even know there was a thing you could do in KSP. Dude, we took it to the next level, Rev. I could write a thesis. I could write like a doctoral thesis on KSP1 dynamics. I have like 15,000 hours in KSP1. Yeah, I got a problem. Yeah, I got a big problem. The RCS is for S-turns only. The RCS is a control system, Nova. It's a control surface. You don't use control surfaces to get your vehicle to fly right. That's what flaps and trim is for. Glodius, you're not kidding when I say probably one of, if not the best KSV player on Earth. Jeez, man. Yeah, you don't use controls. You don't use a control surface to make the plane fly correctly. That's what a trim tab is for. That's why the shuttle has the body flap and the speed brake. Understand? That's the difference. You don't use the body flap to maneuver. The body flap is something that you set, and you're setting the thing to they would set the space shuttle to basically make sure that the center of pressure or center of lift is lined up with the center of gravity. And that basically makes the shuttle, when it's flying, and keep in mind, you want to know how difficult this actually is? So let's just say this F4 Phantom here again. I'll get the toy out.
Go and throttle up.
Hey Zarby, 5-month resub. Let's say this F4 is the space shuttle. So the space shuttle's coming in, right? You trim the body flap and the speed brake to basically make it so the thing, when it's exposed to aero at this angle of attack, this angle of attack, this angle of attack, this angle of attack, right? And this, when it does its S-turns, that the center of lift and center of mass are always aligned. That makes it so there's no moment effects, because if the center of lift diverges from your center of gravity, right, that's going to create a moment effect and nose it down. That's exactly what Dart did. That's bad. You don't want that. The body flap and the speed brake are there to make sure that no matter what the shuttle is doing, because the shuttle would come in through re-entry like this, and basically at entry interface it would be lower angle of attack. As it got through more and more, it would go up to about 45 degrees at peak heating. And then after that, it would basically rotate like this. And throughout all of that, the body flap and the speed brake are there to make sure that those two are basically convergent. Or coplanar, I guess. The center of lift and center of mass. And that makes it so the shuttle can just surf the wave like this. You need to learn this stuff if you want to make a re-entry vehicle in KSP. That's really important. Also, F4. Yeah, I know it doesn't turn. I get it. It goes fast. Alright? I like things that go fast. Leave me alone. Like skiing. Yeah, for the most part. Reb, you're an amazing fountain of knowledge. Thanks for the explanations. I try, man. This is what I do. Thanks, man, and thanks for chit-chatting with me, dude. It's cool stuff. And the body flap would be pointed down because of the three main engines in the back. No, depends. It depends. Now, Nova, I want you to answer this for me. Why would the body flap be at a different angle? I guess we could call it angle of incidence, but angle of incidence isn't really used when you describe flaps or passive control systems, but we'll just say what would determine a different angle for the body flap on the space shuttle? Terve, Warjo. Eve paeve. Time for you to get back to work. All right, man. Have fun. F4 in the space shuttle. 2 famous flying bricks. Yeah, Naps. It's a pattern. This is actually a pretty good example for trying to space shuttle. It makes sense. Aerodynamics. Well, they're there to correct aerodynamics. Nova, let me rephrase that. Why would the space shuttle need a different body flap angle and different speed brake angle during different missions coming back from space? Because theoretically, it should be the same every time. Why would you need a dynamic control surface there? To offset the load for the pilot? Well, the shuttle always has a pilot on it, so you don't have to worry about that. You're not saying one pilot's fatter than the other? Say you have a pilot that's 100 kilos, or you say you have a pilot that's 80 kilos. A 20 kilogram moment at the very front of the shuttle is not going to make that big of a difference. Some of you guys got it. Nova, what do you think? To keep the center of mass and center of pressure aligned at all times. Why would it be different during each re-entry, Nova? Because that's right. That's what they're there for, but that's what I just told you. Why would it be different? Yeah, a lot of you guys are saying it. Nova, what do you think? Talk to me. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Think about it. Why? Okay, I'll give you a hint. Because of the landing spot and the amount of payload in the payload bay. Bingo. You got it, man. Shuttle didn't come down with the same payload every time. It has a 12-ton down mass capability. Right? Now, depending on where that payload is in the payload bay, if it's at the very back, well, then you trim that body flap up. But if it's up at the very front, like, for instance, the ISS docking component in airlock, you might want to trim that body flap down. Because if you trim it down, it'll keep the nose... No, reverse what I just said. If the center of mass is more forward, the body flap goes up. If it's more back, body flap goes down. That's why. It's to compensate for differential payload mass. That's why it's an articulatable control surface, albeit passive. You got it, dude. Is this going to be on the test later? Yes.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
You're missing the balance of pitch up moment. No, I'm not, Octolex. That must have been chat delay because I literally just said that. But yeah, I appreciate it. 49 months from Hawk. Wait, more forward is down? I may have gotten it reverse because my head's starting to hurt because tooth, but yeah, basically it compensates for differential payload mass because differential payload mass will apply different moment to the vehicle. It'll basically do different things. If you put different things in the payload bay of a vehicle, it's going to react different, right? Lack thereof, Tessa, yeah. Passes as in it only changes on the ground or it doesn't burn. Passive control surfaces, guys, are stuff that's basically not controlled by the yoke or the flight control system of a vehicle. So flaps are a passive control surface. Speed brakes are a passive control surface. I.e. they have a different control mechanism to make them work. And it's not tied into yaw, pitch, and roll on the vehicle. And that's what I mean about control surfaces. If you're using... So basically, if you're flying a plane and you have to pull back on the stick to get the thing to fly straight, that's bad. That's bad. That's not designed very well, right? Because you shouldn't be using the control surfaces, the things that allow you to turn, right? You shouldn't be using that to go straight. Think about it like with a car. If your steering wheel is clocked 90 degrees to the left, and the steering wheel's 90 degrees to the left, and the vehicle goes straight, that's not. Something is wrong with your tires. Something is wrong with the alignment. That's not good. A perfect plane should fly straight and level when you take your hands off the stick yoke at cruising speed, right? Yeah, Tessa, but it gets a little more complicated than that. The mass on a plane is never going to be the exact same numbers. Say one pilot has had more cheeseburgers than the others, right? So it's never going to be exactly the same, but that's what trim tabs are for. Control surfaces on modern aircraft nowadays have a a smaller control surface built in called a trim tab. So you trim the plane out to take into account those little differences here and there. But in the case of the space shuttle, the body flap and the speed brake are there to do that. I see now. If there is more payload in the payload bay towards the crew cabin, the flap goes up. It's reversed. Yeah, pitching the body flap down, Nova, will make the thing nose down. So if you have payload in the very back of the shuttle's payload bay, you're probably gonna want to induce a little bit of body flap. If you have something way up front, they can retract the body flap. Fun fact, retracting the body flap will create pitching moment despite no air going over the top of the wing. Retracting it up, like say this is the bottom of the shuttle, putting it down is obviously going to deflect a lot down, but if you retract it up, it's also going to basically make aerodynamic flow curve up. Even though the control surfaces, there's no air going over the top, it will work like a diffuser on a car. Cool, huh? Similar to water tension. Yeah, once again, one's pneumatic and one's hydraulic tested, but that's a good visualization, yes. I had to simplify it, but I'm getting it now. Mm-hmm. Cool, huh? All right, guys, I'm pretty happy with Connex. I'm going to revert. This works. The Coanda effect. Yes, correct. Mm-hmm. Aerodynamics, man. Weird stuff. Sometimes it works backwards to how you think it's going to work. It's very strange. Yeah, see? Oh yeah, baby. Yeah, spaceflight is usually backwards as well. Yeah, it's my F4. This isn't really the best thing to have as an example of good aerodynamics, but basically the F4 has all these anhedral and dihedral control surfaces on it. If you notice, the main wings go up like that, and then your elevators are actually pitched downwards at 45 degrees like that. They're anhedral, and those are dihedral. Anhedral is down for a wing when you're looking at the front of the plane. That's anhedral. Dihedral is up, right? These control surfaces being anhedral and those being dihedral are there to compensate for the fact that the F4 flies like absolute trash. It's about as aerodynamic as a steam locomotive. But it doesn't matter because it looks really freaking cool. But see, KSP actually simulates this pretty well. Now ignore the contrails. I don't know why they put that in the game. Now, look. This is with SAS on. Look at my control surface here. See what I'm talking about? See how it's slightly deflected down? And my rate controller, if you look at the rates here, the arrow is up above that blue tab right there, indicating that we are slightly, hang on, let me just double check it. We're slightly pitched up. That's how you get the thing to fly straight. Right, and see there's your oscillations right there, but it dampened them out. See what I'm talking about? See how it's still slightly pitched? See the seam right there? It's still slightly pitched up to get the thing to fly correctly. Hope everything went smooth. I wouldn't call it smooth, Orion, but I'm here. But see, the interesting thing about the F4 is that you see how the F4 needs insane deflection over the rear elevators just to make a turn? That's what they mean when they say it doesn't turn very well. Because you need a ridiculous amount of deflection to the point where you almost have a speed brake back there to get the thing to actually pitch and fly. want to go fast. But see, this is what me and Rev were talking about. The SAS, since it's one size fits all, it doesn't jive too well with the crazy rate of deflection that you need to get the F4 to fly straight. So if you have SAS on, watch what happens. See that? That's the PIDs overcompensating, and it's going to create a compounding effect. That compounding effect will eventually crash the airplane. If you take SAS off, though, if we take SAS off and go in here and adjust my, if we induce a slight bit of deploy here, right? So let's get these things, zero them out, initiate deploy, right? Let's turn the afterburners off. See, we're pitching down slightly, so a negative, slight negative deploy angle here will get it to compensate and fly correctly. Just basically what the SAS was doing, but it didn't like it at high speed. But now we have the SAS off, and this plane is nice and trimmed. Now, conversely to that, if you want to do it another way, you could shut the deploy off here, and if you hold left Alt and S, it will trim the control surfaces out for you. If you hold Alt and hit WASD, Q, and E, it'll introduce trim. See, I'm holding left Alt right now. You can see the control surface slightly moving. Now that we're slightly trimmed out, the plane will fly correctly. Is there a way to go to center? Alt X will move you back to center. So if I hit Alt and X, watch the control surface. Ready? Oop. See? Reset. Yeah, this works in Kerbal 1 as well. The difference between one of the cool features between Kerbal 1 and Kerbal 2, though, is that in Kerbal 1, you either trim or you use SAS. It's one or the other. In Kerbal 2, they made it so your trim commands work even with SAS. So you could set trim and then turn the SAS on, and that's another way to prevent it from overcompensating. See? How's your tooth? Yeah, Carson, I still got a headache, but I'm alright. It's gone. It's not there anymore. Sadly, no way to 0-1 trim and leave another. Deploy. Poison. Deploy will work just fine. If you do it the other way and deploy the elevators, right, you can basically have persistent trim. What button said it again was tabbed out? Hold left Alt and WASD, Q, and E on the axis that you want to trim out. How you doing, Bab? Oh, hey, Bob. Bob? I mean, with the actual trim control reset. Yeah, inside of the trim system, Poison, yeah, but there's other ways to fool it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You do a barrel roll? That's a good trick? I thought spinning was a good trick. Alright, fine. What did you say you do here? I'm good at dealing with people. Bobby is 1. Fox 2. Oh, well, no. Yep, that didn't do what I wanted. I think that missile may have been defective. Was that a missile? No. No, never do that. Here, maybe if we did something like this, ready? Do not try this at home. There we go. That's not what I was aiming at, but hey, you know, that's good too. D5, miss. I really would, you know, I think I should tell them. I think we should, the console, or the contrails should be able to shut those off. I'm not, because to make this Phantom model, I needed to use a bunch of wings to make the wing shape correct, right? And to get all the control surfaces to do what I want them to do, like flaps and elevators and whatnot. And that just basically makes it look like I'm dropping paraffin out the back at all times, which, I mean, that's cool, I guess. Hey, Schmoog, I did see your resub. Sorry, man, I'm just kind of getting back into the groove of it. I saw your 100 month, though. Thanks, dude. Just want to say congrats of 100 months of being a partner. Thanks, dude. I'm not sure, O-Force, maybe. Gotta be supporting you for this long. Well, I certainly appreciate it. It doesn't go unnoticed, man. Thank you. I guess an unguided missile would be a bomb. It's rockets, I believe, is what they're called. Or just a UGM. I don't know. Any Air Force people around? A rocket with no guidance system is just a rocket, or called a UGM. I think an unguided missile. Well, my flaps worked at one point, but now they're deploying opposite of each other. No problem. I had to go dip real quick because I wasn't sure if you did. Life is crazy and busy nowadays. I'm glad you're still doing great work here. I'm trying, dude. Trying. Their plans for the trails, I believe, are to integrate them properly into the aero and heat sim, which is still work in progress. Yeah, alright. Bring it around town. It's going to be hard to do with no flaps. This plane already flies really bad. But you know what the cool thing is that Kerbal actually understands it. Every plane that I build in KSP that we've built to work kind of like a real-life counterpart flies like its real-life counterpart, which is something I think is a little bit overlooked. The aero simulation in KSP is quite good. Like the F4 doesn't turn very well. It's very sluggish in the corners, which is how it flies in real life. Russell Case, sir. After NAM, I got into crop dusting. I can fly. I'm a pilot. Very nice. Their doctrine of the 60s was go fast, outrun stuff, shoot missiles. Yeah, if it goes faster than the missiles pace, there's no need to ever get into a dogfight. If you got into a dogfight, it didn't work. The problem is the missiles didn't work either. Yeah, so if you have a plane that's just solely exists to fly to shoot missiles, right? And your missiles don't work, you get into a dogfight, and then you got a big problem. Yeah, use the speed to your advantage, right? I'd like to go back into some of the other saves and see the other planes that we made. But anyway, yeah, sweet. Kerbal is, Kerbal 2 is definitely getting there. I'm not sure if it's ready for mission mode, though. I don't think it is. But the progress being made is really making me happy. That's good. I'm actually pretty excited about that. Question, when it comes to aerodynamics, would a Starship stack be less stable or more stable with the flaps tucked in? What do you think? Charles, question? Question? What do you think, dude? Do you think so? The F-104 is, Alex, is not very, here, it's not very, it's great at going really fast, really good at going really fast, but interesting thing about that is the F-104 is that it's not very good at landing and taking off. It turns out when you make a plane that's really good at flying fast, it basically requires an aerodynamic shape that's not good for taking off and landing on a runway. I can think of another example. There's a pretty good example right there. Right? That thing does not fly the same way down here that it does up there. In fact, the Concorde goes so far as having a deformable geometry nozzle called a droop snoot. The snoot. It droops. See? The Concorde's nose actually bends down. It bends down so because it requires an insanely high angle of attack, and it lands at a really high speed. because it lands at a really high speed and requires a really high angle of attack, the pilots need to be able to see over the hood, so to speak. So the nose actually bends down so they can actually see where they're landing. So, long story short, stuff that's designed to go fast up there doesn't really fly too well down here. Another example would be the space shuttle, but for different reasons. But the F-104 doesn't do stuff like that. It's really hard to see the runway when there's a freaking pointed nose in the way. The other thing is that there's a little bit of a disparity here. In order to get the thing to be very stable at very high speed, you have to have your center of gravity a little bit further away from your center of lift. Basically think fins on a rocket. Where are the fins on a rocket? They're down the back, right? Same idea. Similar thing going on here, right? That makes it go super freaking fast and it's really stable at high speed. However, when you're going to land, having your wings not lined up with your center of mass are going to require, basically, because, I mean, your flaps aren't going to do anything. Your flaps are going to make it nose down anyway. Flaps are a control surface that deploys that's supposed to generate more lift, but you need to keep the nose of the plane up. So the F-104, to compensate for that, has really, really high deflection on its elevators. The elevators have a really high angle of deflection. So when you see one coming in to land, watch, I guarantee you, it looks very strange. When you see one coming in to land, look at how much deflection is over those rear control surfaces. See what I'm talking about? That thing is really, really angled. What did I tell you about a second ago, guys? What did I tell you about using control surfaces to get the plane to fly correctly? XTC, 34-month resub. What did I just say about that? Yeah, that usually doesn't end well. They didn't call this the Widowmaker for no reason. Here, you want another extreme case? Look at that one. Do I have to tell you why this could possibly end poorly? I don't think I have to say that this really, really, really could end poorly if you really don't, unless you really know what you're doing. Look at the deflection on those rear control surfaces. Remember what I said? Control surfaces should not be used to get the thing to fly correctly. Bad idea. That's why. There was also the downward firing ejection seat. It has a downward you've told me that before, but also, yeah, if you did this and you scraped the rear end and you had to eject, well, oops. So you're riding it out. Yeah, that's bad. But you got to remember, the F-104 was made at a time, I mean, it's a Lockheed design, it's a Kelly Johnson design, so it's not the worst, but it was made at a time where you have to understand the doctrine of building fighters and interceptors at the time. So the other guy has bombers, you have bombers. You need a way to be able to shoot those bombers down really quickly. So the meta was be able to get up there, go really, really fast, shoot down a bomber, and come right back down. Interceptors, right? That was the idea. That was basically, it was basically build a plane that goes higher, further, faster, right? We need to get up to high altitude to get those bombers. We need to go up there fast before they can bomb anything, and we need to shoot them down before they get to their targets, right? That was the idea. That was the meta for building airplanes at the time. Well, not meta. We'll call that the defense meta, I guess. That was the idea. That's why planes like the F-104 and the F-4 Phantom exist. The MiG-21 is another good example. MiG-21, same idea, same thing. MiG-21 flies about as good as the F-104, to be honest with you. It doesn't really fly very well. It's not very good during landings because it has little stubby wings like the F-104, right? The SR-71 was built as an interceptor, right? I think there was an interceptor variant of it, Zeno. Yeah. I think the YF-12 was supposed to be the interceptor variant, but they only made one. I feel like it's a disservice to the MiG-21. It's quite a decent plane, to be honest, but yes, landing is sketchy. I didn't say it was bad, Ayla. Where did I say that it's a bad design? It's sketchy for landing because it's designed to be an interceptor. It's literally the exact same thing as the F-104. I didn't hear you speak up when I said the F-104 is bad at landing. What I'm telling you is that it's similar. They're similar planes. Fun fact, planes that are shaped similarly fly similarly. It's weird, right? I know. I think I misheard what you said. No, all good. Don't worry about it. Yeah, look at the rear control surfaces there from this RCAF plane. Look at that. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. What happens here if you need to pitch up? What happens if you need to go around? What do? You're basically almost, your control surfaces are almost fully deployed. See what I'm talking about? They're almost at the end. What do? What if there's something in the runway? Hit the gas. Hit the gas and pray, right? Hit the gas and pray because you can't pitch up anymore. The plane won't fly up. Crazy, right? There's a reason why this plane caused a lot of accidents, and MiG-21 does the same thing because it's a similar design, same idea. See, Google even auto-populated MiG-21. Same thing, same exact idea going on here. But then again, what is that thing designed to do? MiG-21's designed to shoot down B-52s. That's literally why it was made. Most MiGs are interceptors by definition. Fun fact. You know, you see MiGs and you think fighter plane. They're not fighter planes, they're interceptors. Yeah. That's why they had a huge honking cannon on them, because they're designed to shoot down bombers. Hey, drummer. Oblate sphere, please see this. Creeper, you've linked that thing 4 times now while I've been explaining this, I think. I saw it at least twice. How many times have you linked that in the middle of the explanation? And for what? It's a shitpost, isn't it? After doing hours of intense research, I've unfortunately come to the conclusion that the moon landings, and for that matter all orbital rockets, were staged. Because it's got... You linked that 4 times for me to see that? You know what? I'm doing space news now. I'm gonna switch to space.